would go live prematurely
all the time. Like 30 seconds in, I'm like, oh, we're live. But yeah,
like
now we
now.
are live. Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 133
Whew.
of My Cup of Tea. That did rhyme. Haha.
You know, we got so lucky. Oh, there we go. Lucky T33. Okay. Glad to be back. Tons of we got some interesting rumors. You know, talk about rumors is always fun because 99% of the time it doesn't really happen, or we forget about it by the time it does happen. So that's always fun. You know, I think one of my favorite, era of podcasts was everything leading up to No Way Home, where I'm just like, they're not going to do this. That'd be stupid of them to do this. And then
remember, I was like, look at the toy packaging.
Yeah.
of this Spider-Man who is
Yeah.
clearly jumping to the other universe.
Yeah. Well, like they're bringing back Alfred Molina. That day was crazy. Like reading Alfred Molina's coming back for No Way
He
Home.
said it.
Yeah, he just said it. Yeah, we were like, wait, what is this movie?
And the initial kickoff was like Jamie Foxx posting fan art, and it was like, I'm back.
We're like, wait, Jamie Foxx is back, but he's blue, then he's yellow. Like, is this the real Jamie Foxx or is this a different one? It's like, what's going on?
And this
here?
fan art of him in the sky has the 3 Spider-Man. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Oh, he's deleted it? Oh, this is more suspicious.
Yeah, it's even more sus. Okay. I mean, if you're Disney right now, if you're Disney when that happens, do you like, hey, you gotta delete it, or you just keep it? Because if you delete it, people are like, oh, it's confirmed. But if you stay, it's like, well, maybe he's just having fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's. I think there's a lot of stuff that that leak that was like that wasn't supposed to leak. But then I think there could have been other things that were like this may have been leaked on purpose.
Probably, yeah.
Because how do you get an 8K footage from an IMAX camera of Andrew Garfield on set?
That's wild. That was wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can talk about some Spidey rumors, some Infinity War, Secret Wars, Doomsday rumors, and then we got again the Penguin from 2 days ago, really great episode, and then Agatha all along, from last week. We get some predictions for tomorrow's episode.
We keep being so late on Agatha.
I know. I mean, yeah, that's how the schedule kind of works out. It comes out on Wednesdays. And then we usually do our podcast on like Sunday or Mondays, or usually it's Monday because we want to catch the Penguin, right?
Yeah, but maybe at this point we should. I don't know. We're about to get a new one because I was like, if we just like wait past the Wednesday, but then that makes 2 Agatha episodes. But at least it would like level out to something.
We could. So you would want to go live on Wednesdays, or like, what are you saying?
Well, no, it drops Wednesdays, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what were you suggesting?
Yeah. So I mean, like after a Wednesday.
Oh, like a Thursday or something like that. Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, something.
Okay. We'll think about it. Because I like talking about the Penguin at the same time. But you're right. Yeah. One of the shows, like, unfortunately for us, like the Sunday, Wednesday, it's a weird mix.
Yeah.
If the Penguin came out like on Fridays or Thursdays, that'd be perfect because then we could just cover it all over the weekend. But anyways, so yeah, we got that to talk about, and then we both have seen Joker Folie à Deux, and Nathan's finally seen The Wild Robot. So that'd be very fun to discuss as well. Well, let's start off with these rumors. I'm gonna pull up some of these. I have some bookmarks on Twit, and then we'll blah. What are we doing?
We evolved into scatting. It's all jazz, baby.
Exactly. Jazz. What am I clicking on? I don't know what I'm doing.
Seriously. Jazz invented by Ryan Gosling, as we all know.
While I pull this up, dude, what are your thoughts on the we haven't talked about it on air, but Alien Isolation's getting a sequel?
Yeah, I never thought I'd see the day. I also forgot it came out in 2014. I thought it was 2017. It's 10 years old.
Yeah, I think we were discussing it as we were playing the game. Because, if you're watching this or listening to this, Nathan and I have been playing...
we're already dead.
Nathan and I have been playing and listening to Alien Isolation on, on the PlayStation. it was one of the most horrifying, scary games I've ever played in terms of like the tension. It was nothing like super gross or anything, because that's Alien franchise isn't usually like gross for me, but it was just super tense and like nerve wracking kind of experience from the cyborgs, whatever they're called, the alien itself. The map design was very fun. Discovering the map as you go along. It's one of the most intricate map designs, one of the most intricate level designs. Very smart gameplay in terms of like, what do you create? Should I create a health kit, or should I create like a noise maker, or should I use a bullet on these things? But if I use a bullet, then the alien's going to come. So it's very interesting, and I'm very excited. And I don't know, because I thought the same people that worked on Alien Isolation were the same people working on the Jurassic version, the Jurassic video game that's coming out, I think, next year, which is in the same vein of Alien Isolation, where you're like stranded on the island. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to come out if they're announcing this on the 10-year anniversary. I think it's going to come out around 2027, 2028. 2029. It might be a while. 2029.
For the 50th anniversary of Alien.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, no. But I feel like because they announced it so early, and I'm just guessing it's in the later stages of like pre-production in a movie sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited for it. Again, it's one of my favorite games. It was very fun to play. A lot of people have played it like on multiple times, on multiple difficulties. I don't know if I could do that, because it's just so nerve-inducing. I'm like, I just want to have some fun now. I need to take a break. So yeah, I'm just excited for that one. But yeah, let's talk about this rumor thing we got going on here. Pardon me. So we have new details. People want to zoom in onto the screen. New details for Spider-Man 4 have reportedly been revealed. Again, this is from the Cosmic Circus. They've been right or wrong a lot of the time, so take this with a big grain of salt and pepper. But yeah, prior to this, there have been reports, I think, from Daniel RPK as well, talking about like the idea of symbiotes being in there. I think somebody, maybe it was this guy, teasing like, there's that quote where Andrew Garfield was like, I never fought an alien before in No Way Home. I think Nathan knows the exact quote. I don't.
I want to fight an alien.
There we go. Oh God.
Oh God, my fact checker was right. Rules were, Evan. You weren't gonna fact check.
Oh yeah. Nice play. So yeah. So the idea now is that yes, multiple symbiotes will appear in the film, presumably, and there's a strong possibility that Toby and Andrew, maybe just one, maybe the other, maybe both, will appear in the film. Also, the film is leaning, as you can see with this, the first two bullet points, the film is leaning towards a more cosmic storyline rather than street level. A year or two ago, months ago, when Spider-Man 4 was starting to get like finally drafted, there have been reports that like Sony and Marvel were having discrepancies in terms of what they really wanted. Apparently Feige wanted street level, Sony wanted their cosmic, bringing back Toby and Andrew, and there was a tug of war per se. I don't know if that's exactly right, because I think Feige loves his multiverse, as we see with what's happening with Avengers Doomsday. So it's like, I don't know if he's like strictly like, this has to be street level. So, but people always want to paint Feige in like the best of light and Sony in the worst of light. So, how rumors spread. I don't know really what's going on here, but going off of this rumor mill, not very excited for it. I mean, again, people are like, oh, how can I be excited for Toby and Andrew? That's obviously very exciting. I think after No Way Home, my biggest excitement was seeing Andrew solo, possibly seeing Toby solo. I don't really care for them to team up again right after they just teamed up 3 years ago. So again, and then the symbiote part is just like, I'm so happy that Venom 3 is the end of this trilogy. It's not for me, guys. I see the movies once.
What is it?
Yeah, exactly. I see we still haven't done Venom 2, by the way. I don't know if I want to do that. But
let's do it.
Yeah. We did Joker before Joker 2. And we could do Venom before Venom 3. Venom 2 before Venom 3. Anyways, I'm just rambling. Nathan, what are your thoughts here? Cosmic instead of street level. What do you think of the possibility that this could happen?
Cosmic space. Every time I've heard discussion of like the cosmic side of the universe, I'm like, that's space. That's Thor and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think people use the word cosmic to interpret anything that's like out of this world, out of Earth.
Yeah. Mystic.
Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy isn't really cosmic. It grew to be cosmic.
I think it is. Grew to. I think it was always cosmic.
The first one was like space. I would say cosmic again is just, is everything space just cosmic?
Yeah, it's the cosmos.
Okay.
There's a character named Cosmo.
Very true. I mean, I feel like it got progressively more cosmic as it went on, like Guardians 2 and 3. I don't know.
I don't know what you mean. One is all in space.
One is all in space. Okay, yeah. I don't know.
There's many planets. Anyway.
But they don't go
to
many planets.
They do, though.
In the first one?
Yeah, they go to at least like 3.
3?
4? Could be 5. I'm serious, though. Anyway.
What do you think?
This story, it's like at this point, I'm like, all right, this is what it's gonna be. Let me get hyped for what is going to be.
Oh, wow. Are you really just happening?
When I keep hearing this type of updates for the film, it's like, where is Daredevil and Kingpin in this? I don't think so.
Yeah, like I think a year ago or so, there was a possibility. There's some rumors like, oh, Daredevil could be involved. But those have quickly dissipated, and it's just been a gauntlet of these kinds of rumors. One symbiote, multiple symbiotes.
I don't think Kate Bishop's here anymore. I don't think we're getting tiny Civil War anymore.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun rumor. I liked that one a little bit.
Yeah. But okay, as far as it goes, the multiple symbiotes thing is interesting. It makes me think, since this is a Sony property as well, they're likely going to carry over the Venom 3 storyline, setting up Null, if I were to guess, and have that be the villain if we're doing big symbiote stuff still.
0 chance.
I don't think it's 0 chance.
Null is dead in Venom 3. $5.
What a fucking waste if so. $5.
What are you talking about? They killed Carnage.
They did.
They killed Carnage. They don't care.
Did. They did. But at the same time, how much can you do with Carnage?
That's a good point. He's
crazy. He's killing people again. All right.
I'm a fan of Carnage. I'm excited for Spider-Man 3, the video game, where Carnage Oh, actually, didn't we? No. What happened? The DLC or whatever.
The DLC that set up Carnage?
Or at least, it's not even a DLC. It was like a side quest that set up Carnage. There hasn't been a Spider-Man 2 DLC.
Right.
Much to our chagrin.
But yeah, in comparison, like, right. Okay, so yes, granted, Carnage is like a bigger name, but like, I don't like power scaling, but like power-wise, Null would be way bigger in the whole grand scheme of storytelling, and there's a whole fucking huge symbiote story in the comics with Null and Venom reaching fucking god level and stuff. So, if they wanted to make Null a multiversal spider threat, which I wouldn't be surprised, because Sony has wanted to like take steps towards the success of their Spider-Verse in the live action ethos. So if you had Null as the main antagonist, that could definitely work.
Success of their like animated Spider-Verse is what you're saying?
Yeah, because those have been so good, and No Way Home was a smash hit.
Yeah.
Amidst pandemic time as well. So it's something you want to chase.
Exactly. It's an interesting thing going on at Sony where they let go of Lord and Miller from the TV realm. They were doing the Silk show that got shafted. And then they were kind of involved in the Nicolas Cage what's that one called? Spider-Man Noir, but then they got let go a little bit. And then there was all those rumors about Beyond the Spider-Verse. So it's like, I think they're having some, difficulties working with Lord and Miller, but they kind of separated the multiverse era. And if Sony wants to go into the multiverse era without Lord and Miller, I don't know what the quality will look like in the live action realm, at least. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's exactly what Sony wants to do. They really want to dive into that multiverse era, but I don't not multiverse, but like per se, but just like again cosmic and multiple symbiotes. But I think this is gonna be predicated on what we see from Venom 3, and I think people just gotta temper their expectations. I think Venom 3 is the final chapter. They want to close things off. All these multiple symbiotes. It's a film, guys. I just think there's a whole idea of multiple symbiotes in Venom 3, then having it again in Spider-Man 4 is repetitive as hell. I just think Venom 3 is going to have this whole Noel storyline. Is Venom going to die, sacrifice himself for, Tom Hardy's character, whatever it's called? No. But at the same time, I think this whole idea what the film is setting up in terms of multiple symbiotes, your planet's coming home, Eddie, you're like, whatever. Or Venom's talking to the Mind Planet. Anyways, I think this whole multiple symbiote Venom stuff will be wrapped up. The whole Noel storyline will be wrapped up in Venom 3. I just think so. I think they want to cap off the final film in the saga. Will Venom continue? Will Venom return, quote unquote? Yes. I don't know if the multiple symbiote stuff, because where is the film in that? Just Peter, just Toby, Andrew, and Tom fighting symbiotes? Come on. I start losing interest. Draven, what is up, man? What is up?
Peak, Draven.
Draven said he loves this idea. We can just say whatever you want, Draven. Nobody's listening. No. Yeah. I get where Draven's coming from. Draven says he loses interest when he sees Cosmic and Spider-Man in the same sentence. No Way Home had a great balance, even though I'm not I don't rewatch No Way Home all the time, but it had a good balance in terms of multiverse, but then they're fighting street level villains in terms of Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and Electro. And it made it very much not grounded, but just emotionally grounded for Peter Parker and what he was going through. I don't know what the fun, emotional, the weight of them just fighting aliens is going to be for 2 hours. It's like, come on.
It's funny. There was so much setup for emotional weight of the street level alone, Peter.
That's where the emotional weight comes from, following the narrative that you set up. Set up, Marvel, about and this is the thing. If Spider-Man 4 is going to be multiple symbiotes, this is on Feige. Feige's in charge. I mean, Feige's the one creating these stories, right? Like,
he has to okay the MCU narrative of.
Yes, okay, the MCU narrative, but it's not like Sony's writing what the story was from start to finish for Homecoming and Far From Home and No Way Home. Feige's there. Feige's there in the conference room saying, "Yeah,
absolutely,
let's do this." So if Tony's like, "Hey, Feige, let's do multiple symbiotes," and he's like, "I don't know if we should do that," I think it'd be like, "F you, Feige, put a gun to his head. We're doing it this way."
Well, no, that's what their standalones are for.
What?
That's what their standalone villains are for.
Exactly. So I just don't know. I don't know why Feige would do. I mean, yes, I do, because Feige's not the most infallible person, but it's just I don't know what is so appealing about this compared to the street level. I mean, that's where it is, and that's what Feige said to us. So is he lying to us? Because he said after Spider-Man No Way Home came out, they were doing press conferences. I don't know for what movie, whatever. Feige said like, "Hey, we have different quadrants of the MCU now going into 2022. We have Cosmic with like Thor and Captain Marvel. Guardians hadn't come out yet, so we had Guardians. And then we had the middle of the pack. Like, what's going on here with I don't know. There's Cosmic. There's Magic with Doctor Strange and the whole Loki stuff going on. Doctor Strange, Loki, Scarlet Witch stuff. Because again, Doctor Strange hadn't come out yet. But then we had street level Spider-Man. And that's another thing. Are we ever going to get Green Goblin Doc Ock in this universe of No Way Home? Pretty much it. That's the thing I'm very pissed. I've talked about that ad nauseum in terms of like how the MCU has kind of shafted our in-universe our in-universe versions of these characters. Like, and that's the thing that I'm pissed about in general. It's like, are we going to get the MCU version of Doctor Doom? Maybe not now because we have RDJ. It's like
in regards to Green Goblin, Doc Ock, it's like I don't think it's impossible that we get there again. I just think like
20
in
years
the
later.
stories they're telling right now, they're just not available to plug in because clearly this doesn't sound like we're hanging out in. I mean, where we left Peter, he doesn't have a life anymore. He has to build one from scratch, so he's kind of like a blank slate at the moment, with memories. But in regards to this, like it's granted, I was what I was initially going into with the setup of him being alone and having to like work off of that and having nobody. You figured that was going to be more told like for emotional sharing of Daredevil with the idea of isolation and whatnot, but it's not out of the realm possibility that they can't still explore that emotional connection if Toby and Andrew are in it because they're all Peter Parker and they've all hit rock bottom multiple times.
Yeah, but it's fun when Peter, goes through it himself, right?
It is, and it is odd being like the very next Spider-Man Snowman is like they're together again. It's and it's even like funnier, like even thinking like going to like a big scale. And granted, I know I was like discussing the idea of like Sony going to set up live action Spider-Verse stuff, which I have no doubt they will, but it's weird. I don't think this is like a stepping stone because clearly Tom's going to be doing Secret Wars first, just based on the timeline of where things are running. Unless they're having like a co-run story where they have Spider-Verse stuff happening in Secret Wars, I don't know, as like a side thing, as like different groups of because there was different groups of heroes in Infinity War.
Oh, that's a good
spread in
point.
different sections, so they could do that.
So in terms of like mixing Spider-Verse stuff in Secret Wars, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that wouldn't be terrible because I was like initially thinking, why would you do this big cosmic story if we're about to have them in another one? But if it's all one long-running thing,
that's a great point. So I didn't even think about that. Let's discuss this. So I think another rumor said like I think Daniel RPK said Tom will be filming in 2025, obviously, because this is all going down in 2026. Again, the rumor is Spider-Man 4 comes out in 2026. That makes the most sense. But the rumor is obviously Doomsday is 2026. So what's Tom's schedule look like? It looks like that January through April will be Doomsday stuff. And then May is when they start filming for Spider-Man 4. I think that's what I saw. So if May starts filming Spider-Man 4, that means Doomsday already is locked in for May 2026. Where's Spider-Man coming out? Probably June, July 2026. Maybe somewhere in 2026. Before Secret Wars. So as Nathan's saying, the schedule could be Doomsday, Spidey, 2027 Secret Wars. And then Shang-Chi 2 somewhere in the middle. Where's Shang-Chi 2? As we get closer to the end of the year, it's October now. I don't know if Shang-Chi 2 is even filming next year. I'm like, oh my God, that's good. I needed to film next year to start coming out in 2026. It's been 5 years, guys. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, it's going to be 5 years.
It's been 3 right now. Yeah.
Like if it comes out in 2026, I'm saying, right? Didn't it come out in 2021?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, so there could be a through line of like Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, and then Secret Wars. But again, going back to what you said, again, it just seems like why are we having Toby and Andrew in Spider-Man 4 and then they'll be again in Secret Wars? I think they're going to be in Secret Wars, obviously. That makes the most. I don't mind them being in Secret Wars. And maybe this rumor is lost in translation, and it could just be Toby and Andrew being in Secret Wars. And because Spider-Man 4 comes out right before Secret Wars, there could be kind of rumors getting tongue-tied over there. I don't know.
It might, although I will say, if you look at the idea, right, of like doing the 2-parter of Doomsday and Secret Wars, it having different standalone properties in between those releases. When it came to Infinity War and Endgame, the 2 releasing in between were Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel, which were both essentially set in like a prequel, section to Infinity War and everything. So, but in regards to here, I don't think we're doing that with any of the other standalone properties that are coming out. So, if you needed something that's happening congruent with the running story, having Spider-Man be on a big adventure like this and breaking him off into a Spider-Verse story would be probably the most compelling thing to do as an intermission to the grand two-parter.
I mean, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It just feels weird, as they'll be in one film and then they'll be right back in another one. But it's kind of what we're getting with Deadpool and Wolverine. Wolverine appeared in Deadpool this year, 2024, and he'll appear in Doomsday or Secret Wars in 2026 or 2027.
Well, it's with everything, right? It's with anything that's going into a big crossover.
Yep. Which again, so yeah, that makes sense. So that's the idea for Spider-Man 4 so far at least. I'm not the most excited for it. I'll get progressively more excited for it if I see some stills, some trailers, or some actual confirmed updates that we can talk in confidence about these updates. Again, Spider-Man 4 filming next year, so we're gonna have some confident release dates. I think we'll get a release date by the end of this year. Maybe early next year we'll get a release date if it's really coming out in 2026.
In the end, though, I think it'll be okay. Like, granted, we want to build up Peter's own personal life, which we'll probably have to wait for Spider-Man 5 now.
This is we've been saying this for every movie in the first trilogy. We're like, oh, we'll get personal life. We can get personal life.
He has had a personal life in the trilogy. Let's not pretend he hasn't with his friends and his aunt. Like, they exist. Yeah. They existed congruent with Avenger lifestyle, but it was still there.
But the big appeal, Nathan, was that, like, hey, this was our prologue to Spider-Man. This is our in essence,
which retroactively became a prologue. Originally we were skipping the prologue, and now it was all one big prologue.
great point. Yeah, but now it's like, oh, fuck it.
In fairness, when we look at like the Spider-Verse films in animation, it's fair to say the core main character is Miles, who, granted, we didn't see much of a active personal life for him outside of the whole multiverse story, and his main friends are multiverse people. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to do this route again and for it
make
to
it
emotionally satisfying.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question though.
You don't have to.
Is Toby Gwen? Andrew Gwen? Is there any Gwen in here? No, then F off.
You don't know. You think they wouldn't try? Live action further Spider-Verse stuff? Like, they got all the villains, yes. And we were like, will MJ and Gwen be in this? They were not. But what if they are now?
Gwen Stacy's like my favorite, female character in the Spider-Man universe. I doubt they bring her in for Spider-Man 4. I think we'll see more.
Maybe.
I have more faith that they'll put in Kirsten Dunst in this movie or Secret Wars, one of those two.
They could get Emma Stone for a Spider-Gwen. They could.
I could see that for 5 minutes of fame. Yeah, she'll do it. She'll do it for 5 minutes. Yeah, not even 5 minutes. It'll be like 1 minute. it should be in there.
20 minutes of screen time spread out.
For what movie? This or the Secret Wars?
Either or. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where the story. At this point, I'm imagining this being a part 1 story.
I think Emma will be so down for this, for doing that, especially where her career is at right now. She's been extremely successful over the past couple of years. I mean, for her entire career, yes. But just recently, like, Best Actress in 2023, or, announced in 2024. And then she's filming her next Yorgos movie. She's actually filming it next year, so I don't know where her schedule is going to open up. But she's filming her next Yorgos movie. Then after that, it's, maybe Cruella 2. So I think she has time to, again, film a couple minutes of Spider-Man 4 or No Way Home, or Secret Wars. But I think Feige, most importantly, wants to close out the early Fox and the early Sony characters in Secret Wars. He wants to give a big closure to Logan's Wolverine, which he kind of did already in Deadpool Wolverine, to mixed results. It depends on how much you like the movie. But I think he wants to bring back, a capper for Logan, a capper on Peter Parker, Toby's Peter Parker, a capper for Andrew's Peter Parker. And then, again, I think that he wants a clean slate going into 2028, maybe 2027 with the X-Men saga. He wants a clean slate. So bye-bye, Toby, bye-bye, Andrew, all that kind of stuff. If that means like Nathan said, we'll have to wait till Spider-Man 5. And that's what it means. But if this happens, guys, not to agree with Nathan, but heaven forbid I do that. It might not be the end of the world because Tom's freaking 28? We have at least 20 years of Spider-Man left in him. Like,
oh yeah.
We have a lot.
We will be
Spider-Man
30 years in and we'll be watching the death of Spider-Man, and we're all gonna cry.
How old was Tobey when he did Spider-Man 3?
I think he was 28.
Was he that young? Spider-Man 3 was 28? Wait.
Spider-Man 3? Oh, no, I thought you meant his first Spider-Man.
No, the third one, 2005.
I think 2007.
Yeah, 2007. So Tobey's 50 years old right now, and he looks great, right? So it's like people want.
He looks good, yeah.
Yeah, age, but people want a trilogy of this guy, and he's 50 years old. So I think
Andrew's in his 40s, and he looks 30.
Exactly right. So, end all be all, there was a lot more Spider-Man to come. We were all hoping for a fun street level college trilogy. If Spider-Man 4 has to be sacrificed to, tie up some cosmic and stuff, and we'll see. I think the least interesting aspect of this is just the symbiote stuff. I just feel like Venom 3 is already doing that. And I think the ending of Venom 3 is going to be like, oh, so they're not doing multiple symbiotes. I think Venom 3 is going to give us a bigger glimpse into what Spider-Man 4 could be.
If I were to guess, also going off that's also another thing is like the whole concept of the dynamic between Spider-Man and symbiotes. Like if it's just these guys going against symbiotes, that could be pretty compelling.
You think?
Well, Tobey being a veteran of someone who experiences symbiotes versus the other two who have not. But also I think it all kind of depends on how the dynamic of symbiote relations will go. It depends on if Venom himself is in this as well.
Great point. It doesn't say anything about Tom Hardy appearing in this movie.
Maybe they want to save that for after Venom 3. But
yeah,
theoretically, if he is in it, then it's like we're probably not getting the emotional turmoil of connecting with a symbiote.
Yeah.
We're probably just going to be like, laughs. Which it's just going to be laughs anyway. But,
let's move on. We've talked about this for way longer than I thought we would.
Not enough.
There's another one.
Okay.
Can you guys still see that?
Yeah, we got
it. Okay. So yeah. And I'm usually not a fan of Marvel. Marvel Updates is trash, but the source is from Alex, and Alex is usually decent. If you see a Marvel Updates tweet, guys, and it doesn't say like a source from somebody who's more credible than Marvel Updates, then it's probably fake as heck. But Alex is the same guy that we just talked about from Cosmic Circus, so I think it's the same Discord chat where he was revealing all of this in. But anyways, he says Dr. Doom and Reed Richards' relationship will not be as important or impactful as it was in the comics. Think of it as Tony and Thanos. Tony knew there was a threat coming, but didn't know exactly who it was. Basically, Thanos is Doom and Tony is Reed. Nathan, okay. I'm pretty sure we kind of called this when we were talking about the announcement. We kind of like in our long discussion.
I had hope for something deeper.
In our long discussion, granted, it could be something deeper. We don't know. This is a one sentence from some guy who we don't know. But
yes,
I think it could be something deeper. But this is kind of what we were fearing, what we alluded to, and what kind of makes a lot of sense. This is what I was saying when it was announced that RDJ is going to be Doom. That because of that, we're just not going to get the classic Reed Doom relationship with Pedro versus Doom. Because in Fantastic Four, we already know they're an established family. Does that mean they already have an established rivalry between him and Doom? We'll have to wait and see. But even if he did, their Doom is not, or it might or might not be RDJ. Like we could come into 2025's Fantastic Four, and in their universe, because if you forget, the Fantastic Four movie coming out next year is not set initially in the MCU. Obviously, it will be by some cosmic means, but initially, it's not set in the MCU. It's set in like some 1960s / futuristic realm where they're an established family established celebrities, established powers. We have no idea if RDJ's Doom is the Doom from their universe, and he hitches a ride, per se, into the MCU along with them. But if that's not the case, then I would assume, again, Doom and Richard aren't going to have the classic rivalry relationship. And we're only going to have one film to really gleam that kind of relationship. It's going to be akin to Loki and Thor 1. Next year we get, boom, Avengers. And it worked, right? Because Loki was the main villain of Thor. And then that emotionally continued into Avengers. However, we know from Fantastic Four, the main villain is Galactus, who will probably, be somewhat resolved in the first Fantastic Four movie. Going into this one, there's no mention of Doom being any kind of antagonist in next year's Fantastic Four, because Doom has not been cast besides RDJ, which again may or may not be the Doom in their universe. So I'm already gearing myself up for what we talked about in terms of Doom having more of a thing against Spider-Man than actually Reed Richards, because Doom is Tony, for lack of better words. He is, in the eyes of the characters within the MCU, they're going to be fighting Tony, and I think that's what Feige wants. He wants that compelling narrative of, hey, we're fighting our mentor versus the Doom and Richard narrative. I just think that's what Feige is leaning on, which is what we talked about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so just like looking at this, if it's a similar dynamic to Tony and Thanos during that time, that essentially would kind of pinpoint the two people here, Doom and Reed, would know of each other in a sense, or at least the actions they've caused. And then when they go head to head, it's like they don't have personal history, but they have an idea of who they're dealing with, which is still, it was especially compelling with Tony and Thanos, mainly with Tony, because he, like, after the whole battle in New York, he went to like a whole fit with his PSD and like obsession with trying to protect the world, and during Ultron and all that, and that caused his actions in Civil War. And it was a big chain effect that when you finally met, it was like, oh shit, this guy is the root of all my pain. We have a 3-year gap here between these 3 entries. We have 1 year each, and it's it's a lot.
3-year gap.
I mean, just like Fantastic Four, Doomsday, and Secret Wars is all like in a 3-year span. I mean,
yes.
So with that being in such rapid succession, if you are not establishing anything with them in the first Fantastic Four, then
it's a lot of heavy lifting.
And the best case scenario is for them to meet, become aware of each other in Doomsday, and then have that rivalry boiling over, come head to head for some emotional satisfaction come Secret Wars.
Yeah, we still don't know. Like, Doomsday, he's the main villain there. Is he the main villain in Secret Wars as well? We would have to assume that, right?
You would have to assume, yeah. I don't see how it could be any other villain. All Kang stuff is scrapped.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and it's very difficult for them. You don't want to end it similar to Infinity War. Like, you shocked the world by killing half your characters and then bringing back the survivors to fight back. You can't really do that it's lazy as heck. People are expecting it. And Doom's not the kind of character to be like, I'm gonna wipe out half the world. So
yeah,
I do really wonder already, 3 years out, like 2 years out, how are they going to end Doomsday into Secret Wars? But yeah,
if I were to guess, I imagine they're gonna play up the whole incursion stuff, and the incursions will probably take full effect and like jamming a lot of universes together that shouldn't be, worlds crumbling, and then these different factions are going to have to work their way either to not only save these worlds crashing together, but also the very like larger,
or sacrificing the world. Like
maybe.
One of my favorite panels from 2015's. I always say 2018 Secret Wars because that was when Infinity War came out, but 2015 Secret Wars event with Doom, as you see here in the comic image on the right, fantastic event. In the lead up to that, the Illuminati, led by Black Panther, Tony and Reed, Captain America, sacrifice a planet. It's like we have to sacrifice, one world to save another, ours. And just the idea of having the weight of an entire universe on their shoulders. What if the first one ends with them sacrificing Reed's, the Fantastic Four's 1960s planet? Like, hey, that planet has to go. Or it's like, what do we do? Like, Reed, what do we do? And then credits. It's like, do they sacrifice a planet? Do they not? Or maybe, So I think the weight of cosmic lives that aren't your own, but are still lives. I think we haven't really discussed that in a Secret Wars or in a cosmic, sort of way emotionally yet. Because imagine, speaking of like Peter Parker's and all that kind of stuff, if in Secret Wars or Doomsday, it's like, hey, sorry, Andrew, your world is gone. It's like, what do you do there? And I think Across the Spider-Verse did that very well with Miguel O'Hara. It's like, hey, that world is getting deleted. Like, fuck. And Miles' whole thing is like, I can't have that happen to mine. And other people are just like, you just gotta let it happen. It's like, what the F? Like, it's an emotionally gripping tale. So I think you could try and do something there, especially as we're getting on year 5 or 6 of the whole multiverse saga. It's getting a bit samey. So I think emotionally getting the full effect of what the multiverse can mean, like losing an entire world, entire verse, could really make for a compelling narrative. But yeah, again, with the Tony and Thanos stuff, I agree with you. It's going to be a risk. It's going to be not what we've been hoping for. And I think we should have just realized that as soon as RDJ was cast as Doom. It's not, you're not going to have that dynamic, that Reed Doom relationship. It's just not going to happen. We have to wait for Doom to get from our MCU Doom, which is already kind of weird because that's probably going to be a long time. Pedro's already 50 something, or late 40s. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see, guys. But knowing Feige is such a big fan of the Fantastic Four, the first family, you want to mine the Doom Richard relationship on the big screen for as good as it can be, because the last 2 times have not been great. Fantastic and the OG. Even though I like the OG dynamic, it's a bit simple.
Sure.
So yeah, that's a lot. 42 minutes on rumors, but that's how we do it. So let's jump over. Wow, thank you. Let's jump over to last week's Agatha and go from there.
Sure.
So because again, Agatha comes out tomorrow, we can also lay some groundwork, some predictions for what's to come in tomorrow's episode. But first off, what do you think about last week's episode where we got our second trial, this time with Alice Wu going through her traumatic trial in regards to her mother?
This is probably my favorite episode.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it was very, very well done. Not only in like a fun sense, but in a very emotional sense. The whole initial dynamic of dealing with the loss of her mother, but then having it come around that like this very popular song is not only revealed to be a protection spell, but also it's a protection spell that was made so popular that at any given moment there's at least somebody streaming and singing the song and thus protecting her at all times, is so good.
It's a very fun idea, very out there, very weird, but very emotional idea. Your mother, through song, is always watching over you, especially somebody who you thought just left you, who you had a difficult relationship with. That reveal was very emotional. I kind of liked that. I think going off of our first review, I was kind of iffy on the side characters, but I think the narrative's doing a good job of like slowly piecing together each character's stories in each episode as they go through their own personal trials. And I like seeing Alice Wu go through that with her mom. And it was fun. They did it through the song. The song was pretty fun sequence there. We got to look at a very weird looking, demonic demon.
It looked pretty gnarly. I was like, damn, that's scary.
That's kind of scary. Exactly. Don't, if you see that in the alleyway, turn the other direction. But the way it was like burning them in an invisible sense at first, and then you actually see it in the way it just clung onto her shoulder, burning her as she's playing the song. Very cool sequence. I really like that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was very compelling. But what this episode showed me was Aubrey Plaza is the secret sauce of this freaking show. The show is at its best when we are getting Agatha, Rio, romantic angst, past relationship angst, friendship angst, or whatever you want to describe it. I mean, not anything to describe, it's just romantic in general. And I love that. Like allusions to the past was great too. I just think their dynamic is just so great. She initially, I like this part where they need a green witch, right? Sharon is dead, or presumably dead. She might appear in the finale, and she's alive. But Disney killing characters just like, yeah, they'll appear again, unless this is Secret Invasion where, that happens. Or they're just killing characters, important characters. Anyways, did you ever watch Secret Invasion? You didn't watch that shit yet, did you?
I'll watch it now.
You would never watch it. It's okay.
I will watch it. I will now watch it and Echo.
Okay. I forgot you didn't watch Echo either. Yeah. That was a weekend. Anyways, so what I liked about it is that she didn't initially want Rio. We've been talking about how she knew about Rio possibly being the other witch. That's why she swallowed the note in episode 2. She knew of Rio, the plan about, hey, I need to get stronger. Don't kill me now, Rio. I need to get stronger. You want me at my best, kind of thing. And actually, I took some notes, and I was like, wait, I'm taking Agatha notes. What the hell am I doing right now? And most of my notes is in regards to what you talked about last week, where you said you had an idea that she could be Death. And I was talking to Challenger watching it. I'm like, Nathan brought up this idea, and I think it's very interesting because there's a lot of ideas or allusions to what's the word he's looking there? Consuming bodies, or not consuming, but just like, I need bodies. She's not in it for the road. I don't think she gives a rat's ass what the road is there for. As you can see via her performance and the way she's acting around these characters, they revive her. They need a number. She doesn't really need them. She's not there for the Witch's Road, the promise of the Witch's Road. She's there for Agatha. She's there for bodies. Agatha, you said you'd give me bodies. I think that's a big Death thing. She just wants bodies as her job in a cosmic sense, her bargain. And one of the most interesting scenes is was the middle, the end, I don't know where, but I took a note saying, was Rio forced to take/claim Agatha's son, and that's what hurt their relationship in the past? That's my question to you. I put that in my notes. What do you think there, man?
I think maybe. I think it's a high probability that is the reality.
Yeah, because she mentioned like what went down between you guys in the past, and she was like, well, she didn't say Agatha's name, but she said, I did something. I was forced to do something to a close friend of mine. I'm paraphrasing. I was forced to do something to a close friend of mine, and it hurt them really badly. I think order of events wise, Agatha killed a lot of witches in the 1600s, as we saw in her prologue in the Scarlet Witch show, whatever it's called, WandaVision. Thank you. We saw that she killed all the witches. Maybe she encounters Death. The bargain is, hey, I'm gonna kill witches. I give you bodies. I get powerful, you get bodies, kind of thing. Along the way, we're romantically interested in each other. But of course, she has a son somehow. I don't know, boyfriend-wise, doesn't really matter. But then Agatha doesn't sacrifice the witch, or doesn't sacrifice her son to the witch or to like Mephisto or whatever. It's or for the Darkhold, that Chaos Lord, whatever it's called. It's like, remember the person in charge of the Darkhold. It's like the Chaos God. I forget his name. It was mentioned in Doctor Strange 2, whatever it was.
Was it?
But anyway,
I just rewatched that the other day.
It wasn't mentioned, or maybe it was mentioned in WandaVision. Remember this Chthon, right? I'm not making that up. Chthon.
That kind of sounds like a name I know.
Chthon, the chaos.
Chthon?
Chthon, maybe the chaos magic, which is what WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 is,
Maybe. There was a mountain.
Anyways, I don't think Agatha is sacrificing her son for Chthon, whatever. I think in Agatha's journey to get powerful, to get the Darkhold, somehow it caused her to lose track of her son, or just her son was a casualty of that. I don't think she willingly sacrificed her son. As we see in this episode, she's very distraught over what's happening with the teen. And, yes, symbolically, she's like putting her emotional weight in front of the teen, supporting the teen. We all know the teen to be Wanda's son. They don't know that. Maybe Rio knows that. She's like, that's not your son. And I think that was an interesting scene as well, dude, where she's like, that's not your son. Is she saying that because like Agatha actually thought that was her son, or is she saying that because she knows Agatha's putting onus like he is her son?
I think the latter.
Okay. Like, hey, like don't support this kid. He's not remember, your son's dead, Agatha. Like, come on. Because it gave me weird vibes of like, does Agatha think her son not be alive somehow? Mm-hmm. Or did she see him die? Did she not see him die? Does she think he's dead, but she just doesn't know? But yeah, I think as well, it's just what you were saying in terms of, she's putting a lot of emotional weight in front of the teen. And yeah. So yeah, I think the whole death idea is very interesting because they all just think she's like a green witch. Even she says like, I'm not a green witch, I'm the green witch. I'm like, oh wow, so this is again alluding to that. So that'd be a fun theory if that holds up.
Absolutely. There was a cool theory I saw going around in regards to Billy.
Oh yeah, what up?
And why he might be here, which is there were with the whole idea with the production spell with the song. People were, and yes, this would be retroactive, but people were looking back to the third episode of WandaVision, where after Wanda had her twins, she was singing them a Sokovian lullaby. People wonder if maybe, in a sense, that could have been a protection spell in and of itself. That could be the reason why the twins are, or at least Billy is still around in this setting, even after the hex has been gone and everything.
It could be. Jack Schaefer, she was talking about how WandaVision was step 1, and then Doctor Strange is step 2, and then this Agatha show is like step 3 in terms of like Wanda's the whole scenario, the whole arc here, journey. And I like that you're able to retroactively do stuff like that. Like maybe that wasn't the case in episode 3 when that show came out, but it could be now. And they can do whatever they want to add some magic woo-ha to it all.
Bruha.
My question then as well, Billy has no idea. Does Billy know who his mother is? Did we talk about that yet? Like, does Billy know who his mother is, or
I don't know, maybe, or he may have like some supplanted idea. So
when he says like, "Hey, my name is blah 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 blah,"
yeah,
I don't think he realized he had a protection spell on him until he talked to Agatha.
No, he's not aware of it. Only the other witches are. They're the only ones who are seeing it. Like he doesn't know he's being muted when he says his name or his backstory. It happens during both times.
Got it. Okay, but in his brain, he should know who his mom is, right? Maybe that's what he's looking for.
Yeah, maybe. And that was an interesting thing that was explored upon here as well. It was like specifically what a sigil is and like how it works. It being cast by somebody. Well, first, when somebody casts it, the person who casts it does not remember casting it. And also the only way that it can be removed if its purpose is no longer necessary.
Let's pause right there. That could be an interesting idea for what's to come as well. Only be removed, if again absolutely necessary, or if they're like prepared for it or ready. And And I think that could be the case as we get to the second half of this series. We're halfway through now, episode 4. Yeah, episode 4 was last week. So episode 5 is tomorrow. So we have 4 more episodes to go. The second act of the series is coming up. And I think we're going to get to a point where a couple of things are going to happen. I think, Agatha's going to continue to get closer to both the teen and the supporting witches. And I don't think she'd want to sacrifice the witches for Rio. I think that would shake up their relationship, but then she'll be pulled back to supporting Rio when her son's involved. So I think it's going to be a push and tug and pull, whatever it's called, push and pull with that scenario as well. And I think we're going to get to a point where the teen / Billy is fully ready, and once he's fully powerful and ready, then it'll get taken off of him once he comes into his own. Because we've had trials for Alice Wu and for I want to say Tabitha, the Black Witch. I forget her name. But we've had trials for those two. Up next, I think, is going to be the older lady. I forget her name, but I think we'll see her, and then we'll see Agatha. I think Billy is going to have a surprise trial. They're like, wait, how is he a trial when he's so young? But I think he'll have a trial. And it'll be about as we lead up to the finale and who his mom really is, that kind of stuff. So I'm very ready for that. But in general, again, the sigil comes off when he says he doesn't need it anymore. So I don't think he'll need it anymore once he becomes into his own powers, into who he really is meant to be. Yeah. And maybe it could give us some reveals in terms of where's his other brother, where's Tommy at? Yeah. Is Tommy lost in the ethos? We'll have to wait and see. But again, this was a great episode. I think the best parts were after the trial, where we got the Agatha and Rio stuff and the angst, the secret sauce between them. It's so good. Yeah. I think Disney Plus shows really excel on some one-on-one conversations. I've started to realize that.
It's a thing I've championed with a lot of them, is that they get more time to breathe than any theatrical limit.
Exactly. And then that's the beauty of putting these characters within TV shows. In Acolyte, some of the best conversations is just when, Osha is talking to Soul, or May's talking to Soul, or Osha's talking to Chimera, these one-on-one juicy conversations. Yeah. Same thing in Percy Jackson, when Percy and Annabeth are having a conversation. It's just so rich. And I wish these Disney Plus shows can really dive into that so much. I feel like a lot of Disney Plus shows are action, small character moment, which we love, and then cut to another action sequence.
Evan, I was
just when that doesn't happen. Yeah,
absolutely. The side thing is, I was on Disney Plus and I was checking out. They have launched those those live stream channels of pre-programmed stuff.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was different. I went to the Heroes one, and I clicked on it, and it was the first episode of Percy Jackson.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh shit! And so I was just sitting there for a couple episodes, and I was like, God, it's so good. But it's also nice that it was just pre-programmed channels. It's just nice.
And so how does it work? You just click on a hero channel, and it just once you finish the episode, it goes on to the next episode.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pre-programmed. You go in, there's something on, and then the next thing if they probably play a full season of a show. So they put on Percy Jackson, episode 1 ended, the credits rolled, and then right into episode 2. No recap or anything, just episode 2.
That's so cool. I mean, it's TV, obviously. Yeah. That's so cool. It's just live network TV.
There was there's a little bit of a delay with the info though, because it says at the top what's on, and I clicked on it and it said X-Men 97. And I was like, that's Percy. Took a second to catch up.
That's funny. Oh wow, that's cool, man. I mean, that'd be great for the Acolyte. That'd be fun, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe.
Always support, renew the Acolyte, guys. Always. I loved how Jodie Turner-Smith came out and we talked about how Disney really just screwed over the cast in terms of support, emotional support, and just verbal backing of the cast. Disney has still not come out and officially canceled the shows, all the trades. So yeah, that's a bummer. Anyways, let's move over to Penguin episode 3 here. What'd you think of the Penguin episode 3, dude? I love this episode.
Poor Vic, man.
Poor Vic, indeed. What a phenomenal gut punch of a prologue. Fuck me. Wow. It's like, okay, we're following this. You know, the mayor is about to get elected. I'm like, oh wait, there might be a prologue. He sees his whole family, and then the ground shakes when he's with his girlfriend there, and then, you know, and I've seen some people talk about this. I don't think it's Matt's fault in terms of like not understanding the weight of what the Riddler did at the end of Batman Part 1. Where I see it, and then obviously you see the Batman going through high amounts of water, saving people. I think that what the Batman focused on and what the Batman was able to risk and save everyday people after going through a whole movie of like solitude detective life. It's just the Batman coming into his own. But here,
and stuff.
Say it again.
He's like willing to be in the public eye and stuff in the daytime and everything.
Exactly. So that's what the Matt Reeves was focusing on. But what the Penguin expertly focuses on is, and we talked about this, how the Riddler was all about, like, you know, going against the Waynes, the secret people ruining Gotham society. But his whole plan really only hurt the people he was kind of trying to support, the poor people, the people who have no other way to go. And that includes Vic's family here. And seeing the dam collapse and the water just come straight for his family, and he's juggling his phone, trying to call his parents, and he just, wow, like, what a brutal sequence. It was so unfortunate, so sad, and what an emotional core for his character as we get to an episode that really goes into his ambitions. And I liked seeing Victor in the beginning talk to his father about, hey, Dad, you should be something more. And it was a sweet conversation between him, his father, and his sister, being like, well, that's just Dad. He's happy, you know, he's not an official chef. He has another job, but he's a chef, and he's just happy where he is. He says, I'm good with where I'm at right now. And Vic's like, well, you could be something more, you know, just a casual conversation. But it means so much by the end of the episode where Vic is led with this. Vic is stuck with the decision to get something more, like he was trying to champion his father for, or go be comfortable with where he's at and pursue his life romantically with his girlfriend. And, you know, it wasn't really a shocker. We're on episode 3 that he's going to stick with the Penguin. But the journey to get there was really worthwhile, genuine, and very riveting in terms of like, how is his reaction going to be? I don't really think he's going to get on the bus. We've seen tons of TV shows, movies, the whole trope of like, you know, looking on the bus as your significant other on the bus.
My whole lead up to that, I was watching and I was like, I know he's not going to get on the bus, but it hurts because I want him to get on the bus.
You want him to, 1000%, dude. And you're just like, damn. Like, you feel bad. And Jan and I were saying the whole time when he's having the conversation with his girlfriend, she says, hey, I'm going on this bus. She doesn't say, hey, she didn't automatically say, hey, come with me. He puts the onus on her by saying, oh, but I can come with you. And I'm like, well, don't do that because you're obviously not going to do that. My thing was, hey, dude, say, this is the easy get a deal free card if you're in the situation. Just be like, hey, I have a lot of money. Tell me where you're staying. In a month from now, maybe 2 months, I'll come see you. I'll see if I can come then. But just saying like tomorrow we're gone, it's like whoa. Now the ticking clock is there. So it's a quick turnaround. Yeah, the ticking clock is there on you, not on her, but on you, and it's going to affect her. On the other hand, if you're just like, hey, I'm so glad you're getting out of this. I really want to be with you still. I'll contact you in a month. Tell me where you're staying, and we can be together. It gives you a month to sort things out through your head. You don't know where this life with Penguin is going to go. And I think it'll be very interesting if you could just be like, hey, you know, I need some time to think about it. She really likes you, dude. So it's like she wouldn't have been offended by that. She was going to go anyways. The bus ticket was already paid for. So I think so that was kind of like, man, you had an easy out there. You didn't have to say like, I'm coming to see you tomorrow, because then she's texting you nonstop, which is exactly what happened. So it was unfortunate, and you know he still could just be like, "Hey, sorry I couldn't come get you. I still want to be with you. And she'll still probably be upset at you, obviously. But you could possibly mend some stuff. By the end of this year, I don't think, I'll say this now, I don't think Vic is going to die by the end of the series. It'll be interesting to track if this dangerous life overtakes him and he does die. This is a journey, a road per se, where, as Penguin mentions, Oz always mentions, you can die just like that. Yeah. I don't think Sophia's bodyguard was ready to die last week, and he's got a knife in his pocket and he's shot in the head. Just like that, you're dead. So it's a very dangerous life, but I just think Vic's going to come out on the other end. I think he'll be good. Penguin, we know, is obviously going to continue to rise amidst his struggles. But I think as well, this episode did outside of the Victor stuff, which is fantastic. The episode did a great job finally seeing the fruits of the Oz and Sophia relationship. And they're back and forth. Their chemistry is electric. I love them together. In terms of like a partnership, I don't think anything romantic is going to happen. But like in terms of a partnership and as a chaotic dynamic, it was really cool to watch. What did you think about that?
Absolutely. He often will take the lead on things. I think he was the one to name the new drug, and she's just like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're running with that."
That was fun.
These different sections where he's just kind of like going this route, and she kind of has to like take a beat. Like, where the fuck are you going? Like, I'll let it ride because it's Oz, and he's really good at saying the right stuff. And so it rolls and it's good. But then it's such a double-edged sword because like Oz is so good at like sweet talking everybody, and it's like, is he sweet talking me? What's
great point. And I think what's so compelling about the relationship is that Sophia knows that, like, I know where you came from. You betrayed me, and I ended up in Arkham. And I think she still has that, that dagger in her back from that incident, and she's not going to forget. I liked seeing that whole conversation towards the end there where she's like, Oz, I know you. You betrayed me. It hurt me. I don't think I could freaking trust you, dude. But he gets surprisingly vulnerable. He's like, yeah, I'll do it again. I'm not rich like you were. After I betrayed you, Sophia, Carmine put me up with the Iceberg Lounge. I got to be in charge of the businesses. I have to climb my way up. I'm not in the same position as you were. I think that surprisingly vulnerable moment was very interesting. And he even says, like, hey, I got your back shortly before the Maronis come in there, and then he ditches her. So he's going to have some explaining to do. But I like that scenario. You can never really tell that Oz is being sincere because he's usually not. But you also can't really tell if Sophia is being sincere because she's usually not. She's always hiding some stuff, surprising him like she did with the drug. So, like, they're always holding cards close to their chest while both being very smooth talkers amongst each other. So it's a very fun, very interesting dynamic. Also, questions for you for the future of the show. The drug. As you mentioned, the drug was used on inmates in Arkham. It's called Bliss. So people in Arkham can get a semblance of quote unquote bliss, takes them to another world. They can calm down basically and, be happy amidst the darkness of Arkham. Do you think, what's it called? Her therapist is involved in this. Therapist played by the great character from Luke Cage and other TV shows. A very prominent actor, very good actor. We then saw him again in a flashback/nightmare scene for Sophia, where she's in Arkham. So she talked to him in Arkham. He was a doctor in Arkham. He is a therapist. They had the weird sexual energy. I don't know. I just think he could be a bigger player. We also do know now in this episode that, like, she says, I'm not the hangman. I think episode 4 could finally be diving into what her past is with, like, Sophia's past. I think that's what some of the trailers were alluding to. Like, oh, we're going to get some backstory here with Sophia. And did she actually kill those 7 women? Was it completely made up? Is that kind of the vibe you got where it's like, she says, I'm not the penguin or I'm not the hangman. But do you think she killed 7 women or is there more to the story there?
Well, yeah, I think it's quite a possibility that she did kill 7 women, but it's also possible that it wasn't just straight murder. It's very possible that any form of unhinged actions that we've seen her display post Arkham may have been caused from the time in Arkham.
Exactly, great point. And her time in Arkham could be connected to, again, that therapist character.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just pulling at strings. I don't know. I just feel like with this show we have Oz and Sophia, we have Vidi, who everybody hates, and this isn't some kind of like murder or mystery. I'm not trying to look for the culprit of it all, but there's just some secrets underneath this drug war going on that could be very interesting. But yeah, I loved the ending as Vic cements himself in his ambitions. He has a fantastic conversation with Oz in the bathroom. I was like, you could have gone anytime you wanted to. I'm not. You think I got a gun? Do you think I'm like? You think life's like this? It was very interesting because Oz is really defending Victor this whole episode in terms of like his stutter and his just propping him up before Oz even knew that Vic wanted to leave. He was just naturally propping him up.
But also, even in that bathroom scene where Oz is quite angry, you can also get a sense that he's kind of emotional, like he feels kind of hurt, that
Betrayed.
Betrayed, but like genuinely, like he feels like he's making an actual connection with Vic, because like who does Oz hang out with, like, really? No one really on a day-to-day, not in like the casual lifestyle. But with Vic he does, and it's like, hey, it's an actual friend I have, and he wants to leave. That hurts.
That does hurt. And you could hear, I think Colin Farrell is just doing, it needs to be said every week, guys. Colin Farrell is doing fantastic work as the Penguin, showing some vulnerability every single week.
This happens every episode, and I did it again today. I was like sitting there and I was like, fucking, that's Colin Farrell. I keep forgetting every time I'm looking at his face.
Yeah, it's like he's so, he's so in it. And the makeup design is just so freaking good. Luckily for them, like, they didn't win last year, 2 years ago at the Oscars. It went to the Whale. But the Emmys, this is a different breed. So next year's Emmys, Penguin should be eligible for Best Makeup and Costumes. And I think Best Makeup can definitely go to Colin Farrell and the Penguin. It's an easy nom, maybe even an easy win. I think the other contenders are going to be next year's because again, for Emmys, guys, it's like from May to May or from June to June, whatever it is. Last of Us Part 2 is going to be a big contender because the way the makeup does, creating the bloaters, the stalkers, the clickers, those are extensive makeup and very good as well. So, but I think the Penguin, just the way he's acting, not even as like a zombie character, just as a full-on performance from Colin, doing great work. But yeah, I'm with you. That bathroom scene was phenomenal. The way Vic comes in at the end and just runs them over. I thought he was going to run over Salvatore Sal's wife, but she, I think, escaped scot-free. And I think Sophia's in the hot seat because Sophia still has a gun to her head, I think, regardless. Or
I don't know. That was a bit of chaos. So like I don't.
She could have ran away.
Yeah, I think so. Because like even like looking around, I'm like, I don't really see anybody where they were.
Me too. I couldn't really tell.
So, also, the scene with Vic on the dance floor having some flashbacks.
Great.
Really good.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's already awkward." Because I'm like, "Oh no, he dropped all the drugs. He's gonna be in trouble now." But then he's also.
I thought everybody was gonna go steal the drugs, but they're all doped out. They don't care.
They don't really care. But yeah, he's having a panic attack. And this was, it was an authentic version of a panic attack. I shouldn't be laughing, but the internet.
A realistic depiction of.
Yeah, realistic depiction of it. I'm having a panic attack. Thank you, Ruby Gilman.
I saw the spider within. That was good.
Very good. So yeah, I'm loving Vic's character. This episode is very important to establish him as more than just like a funny kid. He has emotional baggage as well, and I hope that we'll get some more from Sophia in episode 4. I like when 8-episode shows like feel like 8-episode shows because with Acolyte they premiered the first 2. with Rings of Power, also 8 episodes. They ruined the first 3. I'm like, so I like that it's just one episode at a time. We still have 4 weeks left of this show, so we have a long time to go. Actually, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 weeks left with this show. So we'll be here talking about it every single week as we get into November and December. So yeah, great episode again. Hopefully we get some good Sophia stuff. What's the Sophia's actress name? She's so good.
I'm always bad with names.
I got you. Kristen Milotti. She's great. Kristen's killing it. If people are watching this have not seen the one she did, the rom-com that she did, what was it called?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. Fantastic work in Palm Springs. But let's continue on some TV stuff, some news before we go into some reviews to end up the podcast. I didn't put this in the show notes, but I put it on my notes here. Amber Midthunder, star of
Prey.
Prey. She was the princess in Avatar: The Last Airbender season 1. The princess, not Azula, but the Moon Princess from season 1. I forget her name. Princess Aule, Aaliyah, whatever.
Look what you've become.
And I'm the Avatar fan. Like, there's so many.
I hate it.
And there's so many questions where, like, if somebody puts a gun to your head, what show would you like be able to rat off information for? And my thing is always like Naruto or Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like I know like 99% of that world. Lucifer for Nathan, yeah. And I think I'm comfortable enough with Last of Us as well. I think I can get like 99% of the Last of Us information, part 1 and part 2. SpongeBob as well.
Early days.
Anyways, Amber Midthunder joins Monarch season 2.
Oh, I didn't know this.
You didn't see this?
No.
I tweeted. I should have linked it to you. I could. But it was.
I won't.
No, right? I don't know why I said that.
You're reading it to me now.
But it's really good. Let me read out the article that I have here.
Does she play Mothra?
Yes. She played King Kong. Holy shit!
Oh,
they're going woke.
I know the monsters play themselves.
Obviously.
That is, again, if you watch the credits for King of the Monsters, their monsters are credited as themselves. It's really fun.
Great. So, the best part is the first paragraph here: Amber Midthunder to join season 2 of Monarch in a heavily recurring role. Variety has learned exclusively. I love her; she's great, and I'm excited to see her work opposite like Anna Sawai, who just got an Emmy for her work in Shogun. Kirstie Clement, of course, and then the Ren Watanabe, who plays the father, Maria Yamamoto, the mother, so on and so forth. But she'll appear as Isabel, described as an intelligent and powerful businesswoman. And again, in a heavily recurring role. She's best known for the film Prey, but she was also in a number of different things. She was in Legion. I forgot she was in Legion. And Avatar and etc. But let's talk about some theories here real quick. Intelligent, powerful businesswoman doesn't give us a lot, but we know there are 2 businesses in the show, Monarch and Apex. And with the time skip that we got at the end of season 1, we are now, I think, 3 years, 4, 5? I don't know. 2 years. Maybe 3. 2 years.
2 years from the Hollow Earth time.
Yeah, 2 years from the Hollow Earth time. Yeah, and
it's 2017.
Yeah, I'm so glad you remember that stuff. I was like, what year is it again? That's why we pay Nathan the big bucks, guys. But this is exciting. And I think the main theory that we were talking about was like, okay, it's been 2 years. The brother was looking for them for those 2 years. But then like it pans up and like it shows us Apex. I think Apex is the one that saves them, right?
Yeah, we're functioning as Monarch, but we've teamed up with Apex in this bit, at least with the Apex lady.
For now, yeah. And because the Apex lady is like prominent throughout season 1, I don't know if Amber is gonna be working under that lady in Apex, or she could be a new character in Monarch, since we don't know what Monarch has been going through over the past 2 years. So I'm just excited. I think she could be working for Monarch or Apex, and I don't know which way she's going to go, but she's a fantastic actress, and I love her so much. And she's been working with, again, Anna and Kirstie Clement, which is going to be very fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just teasing that the show should be. They're announcing more, casting because the show should be filming now or at least very soon. And I assume it's just gonna appear by the end of 2025. That's my thought for Monarch season 2. Monarch, was that this year or it ended this year, or was that 2023? That was last year.
It was last year. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't talk about it this year.
We didn't talk about it this year. It's October, Nathan. Where has the time gone?
Where has the time
gone? November into January this year. So we kind of did talk about it this year.
Okay.
So episode 8 was December 29th. Episode 9 was January 5th. Episode 10 was January 12th. So yeah, it went into January.
Okay, yeah. January 23rd is when we reviewed the finale.
So I assume, again, Monarch Season 2 could be a October-November show of next year. Because you have to assume, even if they film all this stuff, the effects in that show is extensive.
Yeah, man.
So that's Monarch stuff. We also got Lanterns. Finally has a director on board, the guy who's done the first couple episodes of the show Slow Horses with Gary Oldman, which my parents love that show. I know some friends of ours also love that show, Slow Horses, on the Apple TV Plus. But James Hall is an established TV director and is doing the first couple of episodes of Lanterns, which again described as a gritty True Detective vibe with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And speaking of Jon Stewart, we have a front runner, Jeff Snyder. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong. But we're on the rumor mill, baby, today. And he is saying the edge between Stephen James and Aaron Pierre is leaning towards Beale Street's Stephen James. If you have not seen Beale Street Could Talk, it's an excellent movie. Stephen James is great in that movie, excellent in that movie. So I think he would be a great, Jon Stewart. And if it doesn't go to Aaron Pierre, that's unfortunate. But, both of those actors we talked about are very good. So I think Jon Stewart's going to be in good hands either way.
Yes.
I think you can agree with that. And then lastly, we have a very interesting take. I don't know if I got your take on this, but shortly after our episode last week, an exclusive from Deadline and from James Gunn himself that says they are doing a new DC project called The Robins, which is
it's called Dynamic Duo.
Sorry, you're right. Thank you. Again, guys, that's why we pay Nathan the big buck. He's correcting me, the teacher. I'm kidding. Well,
he's donating to Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. You have that Patreon?
It exists.
Is it in our description?
Every time.
Good. So this is DC and James Gunn, or Matt Reeves, actually. Matt Reeves is also involved. But interesting enough, so this is a Matt Reeves and James Gunn production. James Gunn, of course, helming the new DCU. Matt Reeves helming his own Batman universe with the Penguin, etc. But it might be in neither of their universes. I don't know if there's official confirmation either way. I know it's not in the Batman universe, obviously, but I don't know if it's not in James Gunn's DCU. I'm trying to see James Gunn's quote here. It's not in the article. Whatever. But Reeves says, I've always wanted to make a film with Arthur and Swaybox. Arthur is the person in charge of Swaybox. Swaybox is the company doing this. And it's going to be a mix between CGI, puppetry, and animation, which is very unique. It's a very cool project, they are saying, and it's going to be about the Robins. I'm trying to look for it here. It's a special, unique Batman and Robin story for families. I'm trying to look for the quote. I can't find it. But do you remember, man? Is this confirmed to be Oh, there it is actually. So Arthur Mintz will direct it. He's the head of the studio, and he will direct this movie, which follows the early days of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, aka the Robins. So there we go. And I think James. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, like, even hearing that is that following them early days together, or just their early days on their own, or is it maybe you start in the modern era of like where they're at, where maybe Jason's Robin, Dick Grayson's Nightwing, and they reflect back on their starts.
Great point.
Into becoming Robin.
Yeah, because they have different starts. I think it's Dick Grayson, then Jason Todd, right?
Yeah, and then I think it's Bruce Timm.
You mean Tim Drake, Bruce Timm? Yeah, they're right.
And then Damian.
And Damian, which is confusing because I think Damian is the one in the DCU. He's going to be the main Robin in Batman Brave and the Bold, which we've heard nothing about. But because this was animated, I thought, okay, they're discussing Jason and Dick, because they're not going to be the main characters in Brave and the Bold, because it's going to be about the next one, Damian.
Yeah.
But then it's like this is animated, so it might not even be connected. It could just be an Elseworlds movie.
Maybe, but they're leading an animated Creature Commando show that will be connected.
Yeah, and James says everything they're doing moving forward is like connected.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is so confusing. Because people are saying it is connected, some people are saying it's not connected. I don't think James Gunn confirmed either way. If you're watching this and you think they have confirmed it, please leave a comment or something so we can confirm. But I would hope so.
He announced it with a lot of detail, right? I mean, he could have just been like, hey, this is coming, but he was like, all this stuff, all these aspects, these producers, like he was like really laying it on the info.
Yeah, I wonder if I could find his discussion. Poor Tim Drake always getting the shaft, right, man? It's like, what's going on here?
I think I remember Christian in the group chat was like, maybe he's with the Titans right now.
Okay.
The Titans thing was announced too, wasn't it?
The what?
Are they working on a Teen Titans project?
Yeah. That was announced earlier this year. We talked about it earlier this year, but then it was confirmed again later, a couple weeks ago. The person who's writing Supergirl, who got hired in like March, she or somebody already discussed like, hey, yeah, she's writing Supergirl, and then James also hired her for a Titans movie. It just confirmed again because she's an up-and-coming writer with a lot of prospects that not up-and-coming writer, but just she's a lot of future projects that is like, oh yeah, she's doing Supergirl in 2026, and Titans is her next draft after that. So yeah, Tim Drake could be in Titans. That could be fun. So yeah, he says, James Gunn, I found an Instagram post. He's like, over the moon, excited to announce the newest DC animation project for theaters, dynamic duo story of Robin, or should I say Robins, in Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. The first feature film from the visionary Swaybox is a mix of animation, puppetry, and CGI. And this is going to be something special. And again, that's just it. So yeah, I don't know. But just the prospect alone, the animation alone, I'm excited for new animation, new types of animation. Animated films have been excellent over the past couple of years in the way that they're just moving away from just same old 3D animation. They're doing something new, something unique with Puss in Boots, the Spider-Verse movies, the Bad Guys. If you have not watched, what's that one? The Sea Beast on Netflix is great development of that as well. And then this year, we're getting a lot of different stuff with Terminator, or the Transformers 1. So yeah, I just think animation, the types of animation is evolving year to year. And I'm excited to see what this new prospect could look like.
Absolutely. I was a little skeptical, I'll be honest. Hearing the 3 different art style together, it made me wonder, like, is that going to clash? I don't know how you tell like fluently a story like that. But then I did see some footage of the studio working with some like very like new age puppetry, and like somehow they're able to like change facial expressions on a puppet that they're marionetting, and I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, it's like really like next gen types of stuff. It's very cool. Yeah, I wish I could look it up. I probably could.
I think what I've come to understand is that it's not just like they're changing the facial expressions. They have something with the tracking of the puppet that they're like instead of like physically interchanging faces like stop motion would, like they can now do it like computer wise, but like fluently, and it just like locks on perfectly. And they just like they capture the motion, but like they're animating the face secondhand, but it all like works in tandem and it looks flawless.
Mm-hmm.
Really compelling.
I
So
agree. Yeah.
I'll be intrigued to see how that goes because they'll set animation as well as live action, which screams Roger Rabbit to me, which is not bad. I'll just be curious to see how that rolls together. Like, what elements do you choose to be what? Like, what of the world would be live action? Is it like the sky and water, whereas like animation is like the cityscape, and then like puppets are the humans?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. I have no idea how they're gonna make all that. I found the tweet here, by the way. I think that's what you were referring to.
Not sure. Yes, this is exactly what I watched.
That's really interesting.
Because if this isn't, because if this is real, I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, I have no idea how they, change all kind of stuff. Iron Giant, man, what a classic movie.
Wow.
Oh my god! Thank you. It
looks very good.
That's really cool. I've never seen this.
It's really cool.
The jungle from doing bad things and get out of here. Satan.
Wow. Very.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And apparently the guy who the guy making it also co-wrote Coco.
Oh yeah.
Pixar's Coco, which is, excellent script, emotional script.
It's no all out Frozen Adventure, but it's pretty good.
Is that the film attached to that, Coco?
Yeah, which is still so funny that people are such up in arms.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't remember Olaf's Big Adventure. I think I walked in late and I skipped all of that, just so I didn't have to see it. Anyways, let's finally, discuss some movies here. Let's discuss Joker 2 and The Wild Robot. Which one do you want to do first?
Well, we're talking about animation. Let's talk about some animation.
Let's talk about some animation. The Wild Robot. Chris Sanders.
I'm thinking I cried.
5 stars, easy. In my opinion,
maybe it could be 10.
Could be 10. Could be 10. 5 out of 10. I didn't like this movie that much.
Ow!
But no, man, this was wow. Like I was telling Jalen when I was watching this, like it felt like I was watching a timeless classic film in front of my very eyes. Like it's a film that I know that I'm going to be watching on repeat. I wish I can go back and see it right now, but September has been surprisingly very busy, and so is October. So I'm just like not going to have the time, but I loved watching this movie. It's extremely heartfelt, and the found family aspects are extremely emotional and just very impactful. When there's good found family, guys, a good found family trope can really get me. And this movie does it in spades and in a variety of different ways, like from non-spoilers, but just Roz and Pedro Pascal's Fink character, and then Roz and the bird character called Bright Bill was very well done. It's very well done, and the animation is gorgeous, just flat out gorgeous.
It really is. It's insane how beautiful the animation is. The lighting, is so good.
Gosh.
I'm genuinely like impressed because going into the story, you figure like, oh, this is a robot on the side. I was like, oh, what is this? This is intriguing. Who are you? And then we instantly are buddies with it, but like none of the island creatures want anything to do with this robot. They're scared of it. They're freaked out. They hate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the development of that and like the time taken to explore so many different angles of wildlife in this series, in this movie, that then concludes with the whole island in unity.
Yeah. Fantastic. We're 2 hours in. Let's get into some spoilers here, because I agree with you. The whole ending with them being in unity was so special, and I think it was a really big growth, not just from Ross, but the entire family, the entire community came together as a family and grew together. I really liked that, and I think the most beautiful sequence in the entire movie is the winter sequence when they're all coming together. They're forced to come together through nature. The beaver that's building trying to cut down the tree, we got to save him. The little possums, we got to save them. Some of the birds,
bear.
we got to save them. The bear, we got to save them. Like everybody who was initially antagonists or threatening, because just the circle of life, right? The cycle of nature is like there's predator and then there's prey, and that aspect was a big theme of this movie, between predator and prey and nature and nurture. And like, no, regardless, we all have to come together for love and for family. It was just extremely heartfelt. It wasn't anything like new, but the layers to this in terms of the relationships is very surprising and very interesting. I think the best part about this was, I haven't watched, I didn't watch a lot of trailers, but just watched one. And we see Bright Bill as like the little duckling. The origins of that, holy shit. Like Roz accidentally kills Bright Bill's whole family in a tragic, sequence.
But in turn, because he was a runt of the litter in a sense, he probably would have been the one to die in that scenario.
Yeah. Which is sad to think about. And Roz, changed Bright Bill's destiny and growth and future.
Built him up strong to be able to survive.
Yeah, built him up to be able to survive. And even though he became, ostracized because his mother's a robot, basically, and the other ducks are kind of like, again, ostracizing him, he has a whole individual arc of his own, and he grows up a lot quicker than I ever expected. I thought this movie was just going to be about little Bright Bill and Roz, just doing their thing together, the mother son, relationship, and he grows up quicker than I thought, and I'm like, oh wait, this is turning into like a young adult, young coming of age kind of tale here, where Bright Bill has his own journey to go through in terms of like leadership, leaving the nest and going on his own like parallel journey with Roz. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't expect this, diverging dynamics, but then coming together during the after the winter sequence, coming together to save their forest. Wow, that really took me by surprise.
It was so beautiful, especially the I'm a sucker for robots becoming human. But that whole journey of like coming to understand not just emotional dynamics, but also like realizing, oh, I have emotion, and like some things hurt, and reflecting on that, and like what's better for, not just what's betterment for me, but betterment of like those I care about.
Yeah, it really is well done, and the score was wonderful. Loved the score. The sequence everybody's talking about with Roz teaching Bright Bill how to fly. Like, oh wow! Like my heart grew 3 sizes that day, and that was some compelling shit for me. The insert song was really well done too. Really smart placement there. And I think some of my favorite colors, like you talked about, like the lighting. As the tragically, as the forest is like burning, or you see like the dark red lights towards the end of this movie, like it was very well shot, like contrasting the darkness with like a lot of the light from the fire and from the dangerous threats of Roz's people.
There was a really cool thing that wasn't really focused, but the fact that it's like there, it's like interesting world building is like during the migration, there's a like a lot of the planets underwater now,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was like a really interesting concept.
I didn't realize that my first viewing. Jalen told me that on the drive home. He was like, "Oh, you see, like most of the planes underwater." I think I got one shot. Like, you see the red bridge,
Golden Gate Bridge, yeah, and
Golden Gate Bridge, yeah.
The whale swam over it.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Oh yeah, that took me by surprise. But then, like, I didn't know that wasn't just LA. It was most of the world in general. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
there were other cities later, and like the buildings are submerged. And
that's some very like beautiful background world building.
yeah.
And I talked about this with Transformers 1, where spoilers for that movie, when they get on the surface for Cybertron, it's like, oh, you can really get a good glimpse of what the world has become just off of the background art alone, like how desolate it is. And in this one, it's like, oh my god, you can see how much destruction the world has come to, and how nature is kind of like overtaking the world. Which makes it very interesting how like this whole movie is about like how nature coming together, the forces of nature, versus like these robotic futuristic entities that are trying to preserve and trying to take over at the same time. So it was very interesting dichotomy there.
It also makes it a lot more reasonable as to how some expensive shipping order of robots can get lost at sea like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably not the only case of that happening. I mean, it isn't, because we saw the whole carnage of like other Rosas have like died and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I also love the comedy. A lot of smart death comedy early on too. It's like
dark jokes.
Some of the possums is like, I had 7. Oh, maybe now I have 6. I'm like, wait, pause. Like, whoa.
What? And they turned out to be okay. So we're back to 7. But like, you were chill with that.
You were just chill with that. I'm like, oh my god. And then Fink was phenomenal character. Great voice acting from Pedro. Like the way his heart started to grow as well. But he was hungry for a lot of different animals throughout all this. It's like, I could just eat them. It's like, it's okay.
Whatever. Boiling some crab.
Yeah. So that part was just very funny as well. The comedy was really on point throughout this entire movie. It was great. And then one of the sweet but funny moments is like when Roz like putting the rocks together, building the home for the first time, and then it's like Bright Bills like kept on poking it. I was like, let me add my twig here. That was very funny and very emotional too.
Yeah. That's a good accompaniment of like parenthood right there.
Oh, big time. It's just like that. Oh my god, but fine. Like, let's do this. It's like you don't want to, but also you do want to.
Oh, and then later, like with all the portraits, and then like she draws the flying portrait and leaves.
That was beautiful. That was peak. That was perfect. So yeah, I just loved The Wild Robot. I think it's a very well directed movie too. Just the way the motion of the camera works as Roz is going through a lot of the scenery throughout The Wild Robot. The way they do a lot of like aerial views as well. Yeah. I think Chris Hanners did a great job in terms of like direction within this movie. A lot of people don't give a lot of credit to direction when it comes to animated movies, but it's a lot of work, putting where to put the camera stylistically in these animated adventures. Very cool. I think I first realized that like growing up, like the direction of a movie was one of my favorite movies, like Toy Story 2. I think some of the direction when it goes to like the flashback sequence, very well done. Just like it's filmed like from the bottom top, so you're like from the point of view of the child, the person that she had a very close relationship with. Anyways, that's The Wild Robot, one of my favorite movies of the year, or in Nathan's case, probably number 30 for the year.
It's 4.
No way, is it?
Let me check.
That'd be crazy.
The Wild Robot for me is it's number 4.
Nice. I like that. Nice.
Just narrowly beating Transformers 1.
I was talking to Edgar. I might have put Transformers 1 above it, but I don't know. Like, what are the odds, Nathan? In fucking September, we're gonna get 2 of the best movies of the year, animated movies of the year, in September of all places. It's weird, But September was like a really good month last month. Like I saw a lot of great movies last month. Crazy. And it's funny. Somebody tweeted out that like because Joker 2 bombed, a lot of movies separated away from October besides Venom, which is the end of the month. But like October is kind of like an empty-ish month before we get to the packed November, and that's because people thought Joker 2 was going to be this gauntlet like the first one, and now October is like, well, and now it's just like Oscar season, and I just put some early Oscar movies in there.
Smile 2's coming.
Smile 2 is coming. That's very true. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big hit. Saturday Night is coming out this week. It's had some good per theater averages. But yeah,
Terrifier 3, if you're in
Terrifier 3, I'm so excited for that.
I know you're not. I know you haven't seen it. I haven't seen them either, and I really want to because I hear they're very fucked up.
Yeah, I'm good. I tried getting Jalen. Oh, Nick, you love this. I tried getting Jalen because we were in front of we were going to see, what movie did we just see last weekend? Joker 2. We were going to see Joker 2, and they did anniversary of Saw. Like they're bringing back Saw, and I'm like, Jalen.
It's the first time the unrated version's in theaters too.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm like, Jalen, you have to go. Did we watch the unrated version? We did.
They were all unrated. That's because that's the most readily available ones.
Just checking. I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did the first one I saw Saw. Did I watch Saw for the first time with you or by myself?
No, you had seen Saw 1 before, and then you may have like heard some stuff, and I think you may have like watched like a timeline video that you
before the Sunday we did a timeline, but I had forgotten a lot of that because anyways, so
that like, was all thrown out with the women through the window.
Peak. Go watch our Saw.
Evan.
Go watch our Saw 4 review, guys. Saw 4 is a trip. But anyways, I was like, Jalen, you gotta watch the first Saw. He's like, I don't like body horror, blood, gore, whatever. I'm like, Jalen,
this gotta be the tamest one, Jalen.
It's the tamest one. It's a great thriller. I'm like the franchise, and I've been hyping him up after watching the entire franchise with us with you last year. And I'm like, dude, franchise is actually really fun. It's gruesome, but it's not like gruesome for the sake of being gruesome. And he's like, I don't want to watch that. Because Jared's not afraid of like gruesome stuff. We watch a lot of gruesome stuff together. He just thinks it's all gruesome. But I'm like, no, it's like there's a good murder mystery.
There's a full soap opera.
There's a good semi-interesting soap opera going on, at least for the good ones, like a Saw 6 or whatever.
Yeah, we came around on like Hoffman and stuff.
Hoffman is a great kid. But and then yesterday he saw the on Twitter the Chester when Chester was in the movie. And he was like, Evan, you want me to watch this? I'm like, okay. This one was excessive. This is not a good example of a good.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, this is his back comes apart. His arm gets taken out. He gets slammed into the car.
One unfortunate role for Chester.
I'm like, oh my! And I didn't even tell him about Chester's character that he's playing. It was like, hey,
the Raven.
Yeah, not great. So that was very funny. Because I'm like, Jalen, you got to listen to me. Saw's a good franchise. He's like, this is what you want me to watch. I'm like, okay.
Does he like Final Destination?
Oh, we love those movies.
Sell him through that. Like, it's a similar.
It's a similar thing where like the bloody deaths are insane, but the mystery and the characters around them are pretty interesting.
Like we got time in between traps.
Yeah, there's time.
The story.
Yeah, but again, it's hard with those kind of movies. But yeah, that's a good example. I could be like, it's like Final Destination, which is one of the best horror franchises ever. But speaking of horror, speaking of October, let's end the podcast here with some Joker 2. I had a small discussion with Edgar about it, very small discussion on yesterday's Where Heartbreak Feels Good episode. He said he liked Joker 2 more than the first one. He said he wasn't bored by it, and he liked the risks, the swings it took. I was pretty bored by this movie. Again, having watched the first Joker, I think is a much more thrilling movie. I think both of them suffer from not being as like filled with as much depth as I think the movie's going for, at least for me personally. I like the ending. Apparently some people don't like the end. And I mean, I don't want to say apparently. I get why some people don't like the ending of Joker 2. By the way, spoiler review. I understand why people don't like the end of Joker 2. But I like the end point. I think that's the smartest thing the movie does is talking about the negative consequences of Arthur's delusions and the obsession one can have with their own, or the obsession that people have with the concept of the Joker, the obsession over an alternate identity that's not your own. And the way the movie deals with obsessions and delusions is very smart in Joker 2. However, I talked to Edgar about this as well. The movie is just fairly boring for me. It's very dull. Even the musical numbers, it's weird because Todd Phillips is like, this isn't a musical, and we're like, Todd, shut the fuck up. It's obviously going to be a musical. Cut to the movie, it's not a musical. It kind of is and kind of isn't. Yeah, Draven, glad that you're still here, by the way. Yeah, I never know how long people can last in our conversations. But yeah, Draven, for me, I'm just like, oh, we're going to another musical. When I watch a musical, and I love musicals, guys, Sound of Music, Peak, I'm just like, I want to have fun with the musical number. None of these are fun. Maybe one of them, like stylistically, they look cool. Very well shot, very well.
I really
done.
like the opening animation.
The opening animation, very interesting. I'm like, okay, Todd. Like, I like that idea, the Looney Tunes stuff. That was very cool. But like, the musical numbers weren't that interesting. They weren't like musically interesting, and they were just there to accentuate Arthur's delusions, which is important because by the end of the movie, he's like, F the delusions. Like, I just want to be with you, Harley. And Harley doesn't because she wants to be with the Joker. And the movie has the citizens of Gotham, the people who like the Joker, start turning against Arthur because of that. I think that's very smart. Whereas, like, they're obsessed with the Joker and not with Arthur. And Arthur's, struggle with that identity within himself was very interesting. Just the journey to get there for me wasn't very compelling or fulfilling, at least for me. And last but not least, with these movies where there's like an overall arc and a character goes against an earlier arc, initially Arthur, embraced the Joker at the end of Joker 1. He's in prison, so now he's not so much. But then through the whole court dilemma, he starts embracing the Joker, especially in connection with Harley. But then it switches. And I'm trying to figure out the point with where it switches. And the only thing I can really think of is when he gets hit with the revelation that Harley was lying to him. But even then, he kind of like laughs it off. He's like, I don't really care. I still love her. But then he gets beat up by the guards in a very uncomfortable, weird sequence. They just beat him up. And then he wakes up the next day and he's just like, I don't want to be Joker anymore. And I'm like, where did the switch happen for me? And that was my biggest like groaning point. I'm like, well, why'd you switch, Arthur? It didn't feel as natural to me.
I wonder if I do know the point of switch. But I'll say,
sorry, this is a long ramble.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I think I do like this movie. I think I might like it more than most. I think I may
not surprising. Yeah, it has some depth.
Sure, but I think I may also find it like deeper than most. I feel like a lot of like grievances I hear from people is like very surface level, not very like meditative on what's being presented wholly. In regards to the musical sequences, I do find it fascinating that the only actual people engaging in any form of musical stylings are Joker and Harley themselves, the deluded ones. They don't even like shy away from showing some scenes where Arthur breaks out, or either of them break out in the song, and people like looking over like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like it's about their delusions. Like, and one of the bigger points, like when they're trying to escape, and like it goes from musical like, hey, they were actually escaping.
Yeah, which I do also find like really compelling. That like also because we kind of like briefly discussed last time when we were doing the commentary for the first film that the idea of The first one being like it could be literal or it could be underlying narration. Some things actually didn't happen. We do know by this point in the story that those things did happen. But this film, I think, reintroduces that idea of some ideals that aren't literal, some sequences that maybe didn't happen, and I'll discuss some of those. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that was shocking to me.
So I'm always looking at those. Are those like metrics usually just off of box office? Because I feel like they usually are.
No, it's Friday nights. People from CinemaScore or whatever, they go to the Friday night viewings and they interview people up until like, I think 8 or 9 p.m. You know, and then later that night they calculate it domestically and then they put it out on the internet. Yeah,
fair enough. Well, yeah, I don't know. Again, like I've seen stuff get like reviewed to hell before, where I'm.
And usually it's horror movies, which are always pretty divisive.
Sure, but yeah, in regards to this film, though, I am very compelled with the idea of Arthur not wanting to be the Joker anymore, and I think that is the core of it. But
I like that. Yeah.
The ultimate tragedy of it all is that he can't escape it. Like the actions are that were presented are so damning that they're done. Like because the whole point kicking off is like trying to prove like the dual identity thing and trying to get Arthur away from the Joker. But then when Lee comes in and she tries to like rope him back into that mindset and like encourage him basically. But all in all, it was never a thing of dual identity. It was Arthur, but he realizes like, I didn't really like get anything like, because really when you break it down from the first film, it's like he even says as much on the talk show. He never set out to like start a crusade or anything. He was just like fighting it back against the bullies of his life. Life had beat him down the whole time, and he's had enough.
Yes, and real quick, I want to insert there is that people have been saying like, and Todd Phillips says like Arthur never wanted to be Joker, and like in the script it says, "Can you call me Joker, please?" It's like, yes, but again, that's Arthur, and Arthur isn't a reliable person. We can't take everything that he says with what he really wants or means.
You kind of get the sense that like he plays into like, yeah, call me Joker, because like,
yes.
Hey, I don't feel like shit when people are seeing me in like a spotlight. Exactly.
Like when Todd Phillips says Arthur doesn't want to be or never tried out to be quote unquote Joker, he never. That's true. If you watch the first movie, he never really wanted to be Joker. What he wanted was people's respect or people's accolades, which is why, hey, when I walk out, can you call me Joker? And he's dancing and he's embracing. But, we were watching, just like, oh, people were ridiculing him. Why is he embracing that? But, like, inside, he knew that, which is why he shoots Murray. Because he says, when he starts ranting, is like, oh, yeah, and I realized that, hey, Murray, you're making fun of me, Murray. Boom, Murray, F you. Because inside, he always knew people were making fun of him. But again, on the exterior of it all, he wanted that embrace. He wanted that warm embrace. But then inside, he also realized it's a fake embrace. He knows people are only there for the Joker. So I just want to agree with what you were saying.
Yeah, it kind of would just like come down to like he made it like Arthur may think like he is the Joker, like this is who I want to be, but in actuality, he just wants to be treated like a normal guy.
Yes, exactly. He wants to be loved.
Obviously, he did some shit, but
this isn't some kind of like nice, misunderstood.
We're not like absolving him of his actions. We're just saying
that
this is literally just understanding the mind of the character.
Presented. Yeah. I don't want people to think. That's a good point. I don't want people to be like, if Harley had killed him, that would have been. I do have a point to talk about that. I'll get to it in a second. Though.
Okay.
But I what I was gonna say is like I don't mind that that he just again doesn't want to be the Joker. I think it's a very interesting endpoint. But again, I just think the movie, it's like I wish it was about a lot more tighter. There's also like 2 hours and like 20 minutes. Like I think there's a couple. The courtroom stuff could have been shuffled along. This guy killed 7 people. I'm like,
why is the trial at all?
Why is there a trial at all? They're gonna kill them.
Granted,
the trial is about that. Yeah, it's not about that.
And granted, with the trial, there was no end point where it was like, oh, he's gonna walk free. Obviously,
No.
the end point is, oh, yes, this man has trouble with his mind, and we're going to send him to a facility to help him. It's not
Exactly.
let him walk free. It's just let's fix him.
Which I also think people were misinterpreting. They're like, why is there a courtroom scene? I'm also like, you could have shortened the courtroom drama of it all. It didn't need to be like a whole second middle act of the movie. Yeah. But yeah, I think the whole point of it is like, hey, should he need mental help, or should he go to prison as a serial killer?
Yeah.
So that part was semi compelling, but again, it's like, if you're like people like me and Nathan, we kind of understood that grasp of it all in the first movie. And it feels like, for me, Todd is reiterating and arguing against people who took the wrong thing from the first movie, which in general is the citizens of Gotham. They also took the wrong message as well, in terms of like, hey, this guy is great and this guy is our idol. And it's like, no, this guy is just a sick, misunderstood dude who was abused. So it's just like, yeah. But so that part just really wasn't compelling. But the Harley stuff was interesting. I wish it was just more of it. I don't want to say that Lady Gaga was wasted, but I really wanted some more from her character there.
Sure. I did go into this film like saying like, this isn't going to be traditional Harley, just like
yes,
Arthur is not traditional Joker in the first movie.
This isn't really a comic book movie in that stage. It's just like,
it's like, yeah, Harvey Dent's here, but it's like, he ain't Two-Face.
He's a lawyer.
Even at the end, people are like, his face got scarred, and I'm like, there, it's not.
yeah, I was like, nice try, guys.
I was like looking close. I was like,
me too.
No.
Yeah, I was like, that's. You have Harvey, you have Harley. They call her Lee. You have Arthur, who's kind of like Joker.
Which was funny too, because like I was hearing like people say like, oh, the ending is very fanficky, and I'm watching. I'm like, is it?
Yeah. I forgot that was a thing. You're right. People did. I
was thinking like, is fucking Bruce Batman on a fucking high rise somewhere? What the fuck are you talking about?
You're right. People did say that. Where the hell is a fanfic? What's the fanficky part of this? And first of all, the whole fanfic criticism is weird because fanfic is really well done. But it's like, what part of this is fanfic? What part of this is like going into what fans want? Because it's obviously not, right? Yeah. It's not what fans want from this movie, or certain fans, you know. But yeah,
but
yeah, continue.
In regards to also the idea of like when he might have flipped from the idea of wanting to actually from being the Joker to just wanting to be himself, truly. I think there could be two specific scenes. I think maybe like the more legit one is the scene where he's beaten up by the guards, where they like remove all of his makeup and everything, and like really take away the Joker facade, and it's just like you're just this guy. And now granted, that was, that scene can be interpreted in a very way.
Yeah, that's how me and my dad undertook it. Like we were eating dinner afterwards. We were like, that's kind of
because like I see him beating him up, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can see this, but then like get one a little further, and I was like,
the camera goes away, they turn the lights off, and I'm just like, this is kind of
cut now.
How are we supposed to interpret this? And again, the fact that we can interpret it in a variety of different ways, I don't think is great. And he comes across after that just like looking very down, and I'm just, it's very weird.
That's not good. But also, what I think is also my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh,
I really like the testimony that Gary gives, the little guy from the first movie.
Yes, that was a great scene. Yes.
That was a wonderful scene. And I know, like, the whole time Arthur's playing the like a fucking Cochran, a lawyer.
Why? This whole sorry to interrupt. This whole courtroom scene. I already said how it's very weird that we're doing this in the first place, but also, hey, do yourself. You're a lawyer yourself. F off. This would never happen. It's very weird. Joker is traumatizing this guy, and the judge is like just watching with popcorn.
Letting it go. Like, you're not going to turn my thing into a circus.
But you are. It's really weird. People who think the end is somehow tied to the Dark Knight because the guy could just smile on his face. Wait,
which wouldn't even be possible because the Wayne does die in a different sense than Bruce does.
Yeah, and that was never brought up in this movie, by the way. The Wayne is just poor Wayne.
I saw one Wayne building. That's it. But anyway,
that part was weird. I'm like, this guy's like scared.
Yes, and granted, he's Joker and he's fucking weird. So like,
Sorry,
I
continue.
understand why this is happening, but also Gary's actor and his performance is so good because you could just tell he's not only just like so terrified, but also he's heartbroken when he calls him out at the end. Of just like why would you do this, Arthur? You were the only one who was ever nice to me. Like you're the only one who never like made fun of me. Like I cared about you, and then you did this, and it's just like the whole scene that like breaking down, and it's just like it's painful. It's like, oh fuck. And even like Arthur, he's speaking silly, but then also by the end it's like there's a little bit of like reflection of like, oh fuck.
Yeah. And going into the whole concept of like the shadow, it's like, as we saw in the Looney Tunes thing, the shadow is connected to him. And it goes into the whole concept of the movie where it's like, can you really escape it? Is it really him? Or is it always like the shadow is always a part of you?
And that's a good sense of foreshadowing. Is like in that sense of like that opening intro recounting the events of the Murray Franklin show, was the shadow dresses up as the Joker and steals the limelight, but then when the repercussions come on, then he gives it all back to Arthur to take.
Arthur. Exactly. Arthur takes the repercussions. This is where we start off with the movie. He's feeling down because he got hit with the repercussions of the crimes he committed, but also he gleefully did so, right? So it's a two ways. It's a very complex angle.
It is all horrible in the sense, like in the grand scheme, it's just like if the support system was better, then these horrible events wouldn't have happened.
The big takeaway. Yeah, the big takeaway from the first one is that Gotham sucks. This city is horrible.
A takeaway of every installment.
Basically. They beat him up in the first 5 minutes for holding a sign. The people in the train were a-holes to the one woman. He was just laughing because that's part of his condition. He gets beat up, then he just beats up on people who are being, weird to a lady. And then it spirals from there when he takes ownership and kills like the guy that gave him the gun, and then he kills his own mom. And so he's taking agency on some of the kills as well. So it's just, again, it's 50-50.
But now to talk about the ending point, I kind of have to run a through line here to get a full circle sense. The big thing, and this comes into my my thought process of like some instances not being real, which there are clearly ones, like the imagination of the Joker and Harley show, right, in front of a big audience and everything, going chill, and then randomly Harley shoots him. And this all happens after he gets the doubt planted in his mind that maybe Lee is just using him, or just not really who she says she is. Because then after he gets shot and falls down, then it just cuts back to Arthur sitting there thinking about it, reminiscing, sulking.
In prison,
because it is also revealed that Harley is Harley Quinzel, and like she's an accomplished doctorate, like Harley, like we know. But she's also a Joker super fan, and so she like weaseled her way in to get connected to him, and because she's really into the idea of the Joker, she's in love with the Joker, not Arthur.
Yes,
Joker. So then, yada yada. After everything in the courtroom blows up, and he walks out, and after he had also pled to the court that like he doesn't want to be Joker anymore. He tells the joke like, "Knock on who's there, Arthur. Arthur who?" Because nobody sees Arthur anymore. They just see Joker.
And he admits to doing everything.
Yeah, he admits to it, but he just wants to be Arthur. Like he doesn't want to be this icon symbol. And then after the courtroom blows up and he waddles out, next thing you know, a Joker superfan who looks one for one like the Joker takes him along and drives him to safety in a sense, kind of being a safety net, which I guess in this world would be his only safety net at this point, but he doesn't want that. So then when the car stops, he runs off, and then even like the guy still chasing him, it's the fucking perfect symbolism of the Joker trying to get Arthur, overtake him.
The shadow is chasing him.
Yeah. But then when he breaks away and he finds Lee on the steps, where he hopes he can run away and like be together with this one person who he
thought was connected with him as Arthur.
Yeah, literally understands and finally sees him, which he says in the interview in prison and stuff. Which is why he felt so like sulky and like the idea, and why he imagined her shooting him, like when he felt so hurt by that, But then, everything came back together. And then by the end here, when he's up on the steps and he's trying to say, like, hey, I got away. We can go. We can be together. We can be free. She turns him down because she doesn't love Arthur. She loves Joker. But Arthur said that's not who he is. And so it fizzles out. It's done. She walks away. And all the cops pull up and Arthur doesn't try to run.
He once again gets the repercussions. But this time, it's the repercussions of his own actions as Arthur. First admitting to what he did, and then leaving, and then being chased by everything, and then the weight comes down on him again, even when he declined his identity. He didn't say it deserves. He what?
Well, like in the arrest, he gets what he deserves.
Exactly. Yeah. But that might have been my favorite scene as well. The whole argument with Harley scene. It's him refuting. Aggressively so, not like in a bad way, but just like, hey, I do not want to be the Joker anymore. And she quietly denies him and doesn't want to be with him.
Even earlier when he says that, like right when he said that in the court, she walked out. When return calls.
I love that a lot. Again, I love the switch by Arthur. I love her denial because we've seen a lot of obsessive fans in the first one, right? They put him on top of the ambulance. They're like, they love this guy. And then in the second one, they help him throughout the movie. He gets fans back in the prison. They love him again. But Harley, as a romantic insert of that same obsessive fan, was a very smart choice. Because you get to have Arthur get to be emotionally connected as both Arthur and as Joker. That's why in a lot of the musicals, or that's why in the real world, he's connected with her as Arthur within the Arkham. But then musically, within the musical numbers, as boring as they may be, you visually see that this is Joker and Harley. Like his Joker persona is enjoying the connection with the Harley persona. And when that both crumbles down, then he's desolate by the end of the movie. Then his Arthur connection's gone and his Joker connection's gone.
Yeah, and even thinking about like in those moments when he is singing, I think most of the times when he's not with Harley, he's singing as Arthur, except for in court where he has been boasted by Harley that you are the Joker. This is who you are. And he's like, yeah, it is who I am. Fucking beat the shit out of people. I'm Joker.
Yeah.
But then come the ending with the guy stabbing him. That is another instance where I don't think that was literal. I don't think Arthur was literally killed. I think because he's at such a low point and the guy not only stabs him, but then cuts the smile on his face, is like, that's a personification of the idea of Joker taking that toll on Arthur because of like how far he's been brought down and fallen because of his actions and his course of being the Joker led him to this level of pain that he's experiencing, this loss of his love and the one person who he thought understood him. And now he's all alone.
The idea that he might as well be dead scenario?
Not necessarily might as well. It's just like, when you're like experiencing such levels of hurt, it can feel like this.
It feels like you're dead.
So you just like kind of fall to the ground and you're just experiencing the agonizing pain. It's a physical presentation of that emotional state.
I like that interpretation. That's not kind of what I got, but that kind of works as well. That works well, and it doesn't take away from the fact that because
I don't think it's like a situation where like this crazy dude has stabbed him, cut smiles in his face. Now he's the new Joker. It's like that's random.
No. I don't think that last sentence is there, but I think he can still die in his body as a dead body. Is just the whole carving. I didn't really take too much meaning out of the carving of the face. I just took meaning in terms of like the death of himself as Arthur. It's just that like this is unfortunately a shadow that he couldn't escape from. And even in his denial as Joker was what causing him to die. Yeah. So I like the fact that he does die in the end.
Okay. I
think it's both tragic, and I like the fact that he dies, but I'm not connecting that to like, well, now the whole Joker persona because it's carved face. I just think he just dies. A sad, unfortunate death. Unfortunate, depending on who you are. But yeah, I like the ballsiness of that. Again, I think the end point of like whether he's dead or not, the action of showing the audience that Joker is getting stabbed, Arthur getting stabbed, is a cool endpoint, given where we were at the end of the first movie and the beginning of this movie. That trajectory is very cool. I just don't like the journey to get there. But yeah, I like the trajectory. I like that. I'm like, wow, he's dead, and the obsession of the fans has grown to a violent level where they have killed the person that started it all. Even though Arthur didn't mean to start in the first one, the obsession has grown to such a violent degree that it has now killed the person that kind of was the impetus of it all. I like that.
Yeah. I agree that it is ballsy to just like kill off the main character like that. Though I don't see it being how to say, like, I don't think it functions well if it isn't like the interpretation I gave it, because if it is literal, then I don't think it works on the grand scheme of the story. I mean, yes, I could see it like
his death doesn't work.
Yeah, like I don't think it does. Like just seeing like the dude like so low that then reaches like these levels and still like gets cuffed in the end and then goes through all that big level of loss to even a higher degree personally a second time only to be shanked and left to die. It's like, realistic.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's realistic, but it's like I don't think it would thematically work. But I think it thematically works if it's not literal, because, like, again, the section with Harley, when he felt that doubt, he felt betrayed, he got hurt by her, and imagine getting shot by her, and then now he literally was hurt, and it's the worst feeling that he ever could have truly imagined, as if he wants to die or like he is dying.
I mean, if it's not literal, then he's just left alone in Arkham, where he continues to get abused by guards. Yes. It's not great.
Yeah, it's not great either. But I mean, yeah, we say that, but also he's back to that complacent prisoner who they treat a little bit better, and because he's not acting all high and mighty. Yeah. And I think that I don't think you put the face carving in unintentionally. I think there has to be purpose there, and I think it being the personification of the Joker and through what he's done as him has led him to this pain that he's experiencing, and I think would just make him either resent it even more, or he'll go even deeper into lunacy to realize that, like, hey, my only like true level of comfort in life came from being the Joker and having no actual connection with anybody.
Let's try it again.
Let's try it again, man. And it could even bring him to the point, I'm not saying he would have a relationship again, but like it would also make sense to get to the point of when you would see a normal Joker and Harley relationship, Joker doesn't actually give a shit about Harley. And I could see how this would form that person who would treat other people that way, who would never actually have any connection with anybody, except maybe Batman, who gives a little bit of interesting flair in his life.
Oh, so you're saying WB is quickly writing Joker 3 as we speak?
Well, no, because I don't think it's making money now. And I thought he was done anyway, so it's like you probably leave it.
Yeah,
but I will say, I think as a duology, I don't think one hurts the other. I actually think they work in tandem quite well. I think this is probably the best realized sequel you could have gotten without retreading the first one. Because it felt like you genuinely, like, Todd wasn't like trying to just fucking sequelize anything. He was like, let me tell something interesting from a different perspective, something that I feel is not only fresher, but will, if I'm interpreting his stuff correctly, would be more interesting thing to explore than to just, cut and dry sequel shit and like more Batman mythos stuff.
Yeah, I think I agree with the macro of what you're saying in terms of it was hard. I think we all saw Joker in 2019. I had no instance of thinking there would ever be a sequel to that. I'm like, how do you do a sequel to that? It didn't spring sequel to me. So when I'm like, good luck. Like, it makes sense. It made $1 billion in the highest grossing R-rated movie. Makes sense. But I'm like, story-wise, I'm like, where do you go from that? And like you said, I like the ideas that are sprinkled in here in terms of the ideas of obsession, Joker's identity, and the unfortunate consequences, the fact and fiction of it all. what he's dealing with Harley and how that takes a toll on him. I like those ideas. I think overall the movie just could have been tighter. But yeah, I like the ideas here. I think the ideas are sprinkled in here correctly. I just wish the movie was more like, for me at least, more interesting to follow beat to beat. Because I like certain beats, but like the course to get there again wasn't really that fun or interesting. Not that it needed to be fun, but just I needed to be invested, and I wasn't really invested. But again, I like the ending. The end point is very cool, very smart, and very good for what this movie is talking about. And especially like your interpretation. That's a very interesting one. But either way, my interpretation, your interpretation, I think smart ending for this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All that is to say, I don't think it's as bad as some are making it out to be.
No. I think it's boring in my opinion, but like it's not a D. Like I gave this like three stars. It's solid. It's I've seen way worse. I think Madam Web is worse than this.
Yeah, I hear some people say Madam Web wasn't as bad as this, and I'm like, stop.
No, Madam Web is like, arguably like more fun, but like even then,
I rewatched it with a friend, and I was like, this is fun to watch because it's absurd how this happened.
Bullshit. It's a bullshit, absurd. How did this happen? Yeah, exactly. But like, I would have more fun watching Madam Web, but I'd rather watch Joker 2 because as a fan of movies, I like the ideas more.
Sure.
So,
yeah. How was your experience? Did you see this opening night?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay.
Saturday.
How was your audience experience? Did you experience people leaving?
No.
It
was quiet though. It was a quiet movie. I didn't feel anybody like oohing and ahhing. Even at the death, they're like, okay, it's time to go. Like I didn't get that. It wasn't my substance audience. We were just cheering. But yeah, it was a muted audience response. How about you?
Yeah, about the same. I think like the only like ever instance where I heard somebody like maybe laugh is like I think they laughed at Gary, and I was like, are you laughing because he's short? This is terrible.
Yeah, you can laugh at how uncomfortable Gary was being, but
yeah, bullshit like that. But no, I didn't experience any walkouts. I didn't hear any groans from the music because I think also by this point, because I went to go on Friday night, and there was also like early access Monday screenings, so people are experiencing and already like hearing about the idea of this being musical-esque. So, and not only that, but like going into, I hung out with my old coworker friend. And he was working the box office selling tickets. So like I was chilling next to him, and he was outside the box, and he was selling tickets to Joker, and I was listening to that before and afterward. I was hanging out with him, and each time I was like hear people come up and they would buy like Joker, and they would ask like, hey, is this like music stuff? And like, how bad is the music stuff? And he's like, is it? I'm aware there's music stuff, like because he was even like prefacing and stuff. But like at this point, plenty of people had heard. So going in, people. Like I was with audiences that were clearly aware that like there's going to be some songs here, so they kind of in that sense knew what they were in for. So I didn't really have any like audience trouble grasping what we were in for.
Exactly, and I just wish this movie would be like, I would give this a lot more stars if the musical numbers were like fun. I love music.
Sure, if Chazelle was directing this, I'm sure they would be lavish.
Like. Lyrically, I can't remember a single thing they were even saying in the music.
Well, that was an interesting thing I also heard is like usually like musicals like have original music. These were all pre-existing songs being sung.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just inherently trying to like fit those in, which I don't think is impossible. I have fucking plenty of track lists that I'm accompanying with my show, but that is kind of
interesting with that. You can still like. They can have them singing whatever and have it be like theatrical or, be cinematic in terms of like their verses and their lyricism and their, having fun with the musical, the dances. But it felt so slow. I'm like, aren't musical numbers supposed to be get the audience going?
And it's also like it's one thing to just like put a song in a movie. It's another for like to have the characters sing the one for one lyrics of said song and have it function 100% in the narrative. Like, if I would picture someone like doing like that, I'm gonna have them be musical performance probably, or I'm gonna have them being like I listen to angsty music, so like I'll probably have them in angsty scenarios. But like even like the set pieces with like Joker and Harley show and stuff is like a lot of it, it's that old like 870s look. So like you'd rather have like 70 stages or you have very dingy Gotham, and it's like there's not a lot of like lavish stuff to pull from that musically.
Yeah, exactly.
So if that's not your bag, I totally get it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that is Joker 2. Again, I think yesterday I said I like the first one more than the second one. This was a fun conversation. I think I'll still go with first one in terms of like rewatchability, but the second one, I can agree that it has some more interesting ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, they're both mixed bags for me. But
unfortunately, this Joker did not have Brian Tyree Henry like the first one. But it does have Brian Tyree Henry.
What does he?
What? Okay. That's right. I run the Twitter. No, I don't.
It's you, motherfucker.
You're him. No, that dude is like carrying so hard. The marketing, it's insane.
It's great. I love it. Go see Transformers 1, guys. Seriously. Go see it.
He's legit like fucking encouraging Transformers weekend for this weekend. It's also releasing in Europe properly this weekend as well.
Sweet.
So hopefully it bangs a bit more and we can get a sequel.
Transformers 1, no. Transformers 1.
Maybe. Transformers 2.
I really want it to be. Transformers 1, if it can make more than Joker, that'd be kind of funny. That'd be kind of fun. If I had to hear about a building amount more time, I had to go.
I don't get annoyance with that. Like, if you never heard the term "mountain out of a molehill," I don't know what to say. But
yeah,
like, I don't know. I was like, whatever.
It was repetitive, but
it was 2 times. It was spoken 2 times, and then it was a song. But like, whatever.
Yeah. I was saying, I felt more than 2. But yeah, I see what you're saying. So yeah. That's Joker 2. That's Wild Robot. That's our tea for the week. Hopefully we spilled that tea. That's what the kids are saying these days. Oh boy. I was talking to a student and I'm like, why is it spilling tea, not coffee? Why is it tea?
I feel like it was I feel like it may have been permeated from the Kermit meme where he's sipping the Lipton tea in the ad.
Yeah.
And that kind of birthed that's not any of my business. But it's gossip. So like, yes, it is.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. I finally finished a recent High Republic book from August called what's it called? Beware the Nameless. It was a middle grade High Republic book for Star Wars, and it was very good. Now I'm going to start reading Tears of the Nameless, and I'm reading Hunter x Hunter again in its entirety in the manga. It's one of my favorite fictional stories of all time. One of my favorite shows of all time. And Togashi is finally back after a 2-year hiatus to continue writing more chapters for Hunter x Hunter. So that's very fun. I just finished a show called Ripley on Netflix, 8 episodes with I'm forgetting the guy's name. But it was a really good show. Go watch Ripley on Netflix. Black and white, noir, very fun, very interesting thriller. Again, only 8 episodes. And fall season is upon us. Tons and tons of shows that I'm watching. A lot of anime that I'm watching. Legend of Vox Machina is on a higher note. I'm just killing it right now. Tomb Raider starts on the 10th this week. I'm going to be watching that, posting about that. Last week, Rings of Power ended, so I tweeted about that. Excellent series. So yeah, I'm just watching it all. So anime, movies, TV, we're doing it all, baby.
Nice. You can follow me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Playing a lawyer who probably wouldn't have cared to interview Arthur. Not as much as Harvey. Harvey was really in it.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, yeah, Harvey's on the right here.
Harvey, yeah, right? I'm like,
Harvey. Yeah, go Harvey. We like Harvey Dent before he's too big.
We like Harvey Dent. So yeah, that was very funny. So yeah, I'm curious how my character Ben would have gone up against Arthur in that court case.
He probably would have been Harvey.
Yeah.
But also he's
Yeah.
compassionate because he's human.
Exactly.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to like button, subscribe, not already, ring the bell so you don't miss all things, movies, and TV. That being said, hope you have a great day. Catch you guys next time.
See you later, Draven.